Welcome to the 129th episode of the Nerdom and Other Nonsense Anime Podcast. Today, we are bringing you all of our spring 2020 first impressions based on the first few weeks of shows that have aired. As always, we include timestamps in the description of the YouTube video and podcast feed if you only want to hear about one or two specific shows, since we spoil literally everything. My name is Kat, and someone is fucking with the dock.
I was fixing it because you
Stop
fixed
it,
it.
Bcom! Stop! I can't read a moving text.
I knew it was gonna fuck her up.
When I finally marry my love interest, who I act like I hate, and climb a tower so that my 8th son will have special powers, I'll start my own radio show and have a dinosaur that lives with me who I can climb into and wear like a mascot character. Also with me are Leo and Bcom.
Yay!
Awesome.
I actually would love to have some dude who I'm like, ooh, yeah, I'm going inside you now. That would be interesting. Their whole dynamic is very fun because of that. She's just like, no.
Let me just get naked and get inside you right now.
It's wonderful.
It's gonna smell and it's gonna be sweaty.
His whole body, the inside, just looks like a giant vagina. Like, I'm sorry, it does.
It's very vor, yeah. Oh man. We should jump right into nonsense because you have like a lot to talk about in this episode, I feel like. Alright, so I held back on talking about this in the last podcast because I just had so much bullshit to think about, but I finished playing Final Fantasy VII Remake. And that game is awesome.
How much different is it than the original Final Fantasy VII?
So I would say like for like 90% of the game is like just an amazing remake of the original game. The original, like not even third, but like the Midgar portion of the original game before you go out into the big open world. Which I played through recently again on PS4 after beating the remake. And that takes like maybe 2.5 hours or maybe 3. If you're really going slow, maybe like 3 hours in the original game. And here it took me 40 hours to tell you how much they added sort of to this like game. Like, so like a lot of sequences that like took like no time, like running through the train graveyard in the original game, take like an hour or two in this game because they put spooky ghosts in the train graveyard and it's like a really cool sequence kind of. But yeah, they did add some new things. There are these floating Dementor-like whisper beings that show up. And their whole deal seems to be that they really like how the plot of the original game went. And whenever something happens in your party that would affect, like, change the way that the original game was supposed to go, those ghosts, like, swoop in and they stop it from happening, which is really weird. So like, yeah, there's definitely things that they're setting up where as they make more games in this like remake series that they're making, because this is only the first one of what could be like, I don't know, 4 or 5 possibly. They are setting up that they might screw with fans and change things around a lot. And a lot of fans don't like that. I really enjoy it because as much as I like the original Final Fantasy VII, I don't necessarily want to just play a straight remake of that game. I want to be like challenged and like have my... I like, there's a big spoiler that everybody knows for original Final Fantasy VII where a major character dies. And it's like, yeah, I expect that to happen here, but what if they surprise me and if they give us the idea that like different things could happen, then there's the chance that that character might not die. And just having that chance and like that thought in the back of our minds will make their death or not death that much more surprising, basically, instead of just like dreading that it's gonna come eventually. So yeah, I don't know. I love the game. The combat system was so much fun. The music is so good. All the remastered songs are great.
I have heard that the music's great. Yeah.
Yeah. But the biggest thing is that they just really fleshed out the characters, especially ones that have like barely any lines in the original game, because they're just members of like Barrett's crew, like Jesse and Biggs and Wedge, who are like the Star Wars references that are in like every Final Fantasy game. They are like real fleshed out characters here. Wedge, who's voiced by Matt Jones, who's the actor who played Badger on Breaking Bad, is really funny. They flesh him out. He's like a cat person. He's adorable. Jessie is the flirtiest girl ever, who is so thirsty for Cloud, it's ridiculous. But yeah, like they give those characters like things that are in their backstory. Like Jessie was an actress on The Golden Saucer, or at least a stagehand as far as like she got. And like Biggs, like he would help out at this orphanage that you find later in the game in one of the slums. And so there's like all this stuff, and like they nail the main few characters like Aerith and Barrett and Tifa. They fucking nail. And even Cloud, I think, is sort of more understandable in this game. The ending is kind of nuts, and it makes you think a lot about like where the game is going to go in the future and how different they're going to make things. But I really just had such a good time with it. It was so much fun.
Are you guys getting female Sephiroths popping up on your Twitter feed like me?
I'm seeing more male Sephiroth, but I've definitely seen a lot of Cloud and Sephiroth hanging out, having a good time.
No, for some
Twitter
reason,
feed.
I'm getting female versions of Sephiroth. I don't know really why.
That is really weird. Yeah,
I mean, there is an amazing cross-dressing scene, which was in the original, but they went fucking all out here when Cloud does like a fucking whole dance routine. It's ridiculous, and it's so much fun. It's like a whole cabaret scene.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah.
Okay,
Play
very
the
fun,
game.
very fun.
Play it.
Yeah, this has allowed me to explore a lot of things that I usually don't do in my house, like clean and all of that bullshit. Last week I cleaned my entire house like ridiculously, and then I had the screen door open, and the dog destroyed the screen door. Just took her fucking paw, and I forget how like huge and like able to destroy things she is. Took her fucking paw and just was like, and like just ripped through like the whole fucking screen door. Then my cat runs out into the yard like, like finally my escape.
This is their plan all along.
Yeah, so then I had to run after this cat and like grab it by the neck and be like, no, and the cat's like, what the fuck? So yeah, now when COVID-19 is over, I have to repair my screen door.
Aw.
It's just broken.
You don't have to wait until it's over. You can just go like to Lowe's and get screen mesh.
Yeah, but I wouldn't know how to like put it on the frame.
Just staple it or something, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up. I'm sure there's like some online video to teach you how to do it. But yeah, I never thought I'd be running like barefoot through a whole bunch of dirt, like with a cat in my hands, being like, I got him! Like, so, you know, I looked like a crazy person this week. That's pretty much all of the excitement that I get. I'm stuck in my house for 2 more weeks. I don't know. I'm supposed to go back to work on May 18th. We'll see.
They made me go back to work today. May the 4th.
May the 4th be with you.
And then they make us wear face masks. And then they start putting up walls on the tables, like little cubicles when you would take tests in school to help keep us from, like, I guess, coughing on each other. I'm taking all these as signs we probably shouldn't be there, but whatever.
Well, it's just like those screen, the glass screen things they have at grocery stores. That
in front of the registers.
Multiple occasions, I've been like buying groceries, and the person is just like, "Hey, just go on the other side of the screen so that I can hear you."
I've been told
because
that.
I can't hear anything you say, which is hilarious to me because they built this entire thing, and then it's completely useless, just completely. It's amazing.
Yeah, when I went to Lowe's after a week or 2 ago, every time that the cash register girl got done with somebody, she'd have to walk around and spray and wipe down that screen every single time. Yeah.
It's insane.
Oh, and these dividers that they're putting on the tables are made of fucking metal and are bolted to the tables. They're basically stronger than the tables themselves.
Very nice. I've also noticed that customer service is dead. Have you noticed that? It's kind
absolutely.
of funny. And anytime you ask for anything now, and I don't really mind this, actually. I think it's hilarious. Mm-hmm. They're just like, I don't know. If it's not there, whatever, man. Like, and they just walk away. Well, it's wonderful. They're just like,
yeah, like how many
what?
times have they probably been asked for this one thing, and they're like, we're probably out. We're just out. There's none in the back.
I think everyone is just like, you know what, I'm here, and that's all you get from me. So you're just going to have to deal with it. I love it. I think as a society, we needed more of that, honestly.
Oh, boy.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Leo, was there anything you wanted to mention before we talk about all the stuff? All right.
No, not unless you want me to talk about Call of Duty some more.
That's
and
okay.
I really don't have anything to say about it. Nothing new or interesting has happened.
Only thing I have to say is, like, I haven't been playing it too much lately, and I'm starting to consider taking it off my hard drive because it's fucking, like, 190 gigabytes now or something, or 170 at least, I forget.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's stupidly big. They need to do something to decrease the size of that game.
Well, there's rumors. Well, it's not a rumor. We do know Duos is coming, which is we've been looking for all the time. But there is rumors, and a video was somebody was digging through the files and they found the video that pretty heavily suggests we're getting a new map.
Oh, cool. Well, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
That's another 40 gigabytes right there.
Yeah,
God
probably.
Damn it. All right, so, I wanted to put a section at the beginning of this podcast because this is not a normal anime season anymore. COVID-19 has led to a ton of delays, a lot of studios shutting down to protect their workers, or just saying, like, all right, we can't produce the anime we need to produce this way or from home this season. So I figured we'd take a run through, like, all of the stuff that's been delayed. They're the big shows that just got delayed without airing a single episode. So, like, ReZero second season was delayed until July. But during the winter season, they did air that director's cut of the first season that had double-length episodes. So, and they even added a few scenes, and they added, like, a big scene at the end of the last episode, I think. So that might be worth checking out and catching up on in the delay. They delayed Sword Art Online, and everybody was thankful. Delayed until July. They delayed Oregairu, or My Teen Rom-Com Snafu Climax, indefinitely. We don't have a date for that yet. No Guns Life second season delayed indefinitely. And then some, like, light novel thing called The Misfit of Demon King Academy was delayed indefinitely. I also thought it was interesting some of the movies that got delayed. Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0 or 4, whatever the fuck it's going to be called, was actually scheduled, supposedly, to finally debut this June, but now is back to its typical state, which we've come to expect of coming soon. It's been coming soon for like a million years, so who knows. The Given movie, which we covered, was postponed till May 16th. From the PV for that movie, it looks like they are going to go the direction like I kind of wanted, where they're going to focus on the two older guys in the band a lot, who I thought were the best characters in the show by far. So that's nice. I probably will watch that movie now because I liked those two. The Violet Evergarden movie has been delayed till April 24th at first, but then now it's delayed indefinitely, actually.
God damn it.
Yeah, that one's personally sad for me because I really want to see Kyoto Animation bounce back as much as they can from like the tragic loss of their studio and staff. So I'm rooting for them for sure.
Well, now it's just not the best time to try and bounce back.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Words Bubble Up Like Soda Pop is a movie that is interesting. I'm looking forward to. It's delayed indefinitely, but it's directed by Kyohei Ishiguro, who directed Your Lie in April. And they have the character designer from Your Lie in April as well, Yukiko Aikyo. I really like the character designs on this. And then it's written by Dai Sato, who is writing Listeners this season, but has also like worked on Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Champloo, and Eureka 7.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah, and Kensuke Ushio is working on the soundtrack, who did like Devilman Crybaby soundtrack and like Liz and the Bluebird and The Silent Voice. So like they have a fucking powerhouse of people working on that. So I'm kind of interested in that movie.
I hadn't even heard of it, but now I gotta definitely keep it on my radar.
For sure. Yeah, I'll definitely remind you when it's finally available over here.
Please do.
There's a movie, A Whisker Away, which took an interesting route. They just canceled their theatrical release, which is supposed to be June 5th. And now it's just going to air on Netflix worldwide on June 18th, which is probably a smart move. That's a Junichi Sato directed movie written by Mario Okada. And Studio Colorido is making it, who made Penguin Highway. So that one will probably be pretty interesting. And yeah, it's got a lot to do with cats, for sure. Fate Stay Night, Heaven's Feel 3, the final epic conclusion to Heaven's Feel was postponed until... it was postponed indefinitely after already having been postponed.
Nice.
So, yeah. And then the last one I saw was Happy Go Lucky Days, which is delayed indefinitely. It was just I thought this was interesting because it's just directed by Takuya Sato, who directed Steins Gate and more recently Kasai-san and Morning Glories. So I'm looking forward to several of those movies. So yeah, seeing them all get postponed. They get postponed for release in Japan, and then it's going to take even more months for them to get over here. So it's like a long time before we'll see some of those.
I think some of these shows that are delayed, that are ongoing, it may be a good chance for people to catch up on them and like be ready when they start again.
For sure.
Like Black Clover or Boruto.
Are you saying you're going to get caught up on Black Clover with me? Because I am caught up.
I'm considering it because like this pause is a good chance. Or something like Major the Second, because Major the Second was good. I just didn't have time at the time, so I can see catching up on that. Yeah,
Pokemon, the new Pokemon show. I've watched like 10 episodes of it actually with a friend because I just wanted to watch some Pokemon. I guess it was around the time the game came out on Switch, the new one. So I was like, let's see what the new Pokemon series is, and it's been actually pretty good. I might catch up to it since it's on hiatus after 22, and I've watched like 10 or 11, I think. One of the funny shows to me that is on hiatus is Healin' Good Precure, because the concept of this season of Precure has been that the villains are trying to infect people around Earth. They're going to create a global pandemic.
They're like, it's not in good taste. Stop it. Stop.
Boy. Yeah. Too soon.
Yeah, it was a little too much. Railgun's delayed. Kingdom, third season's delayed. The Digimon Adventure reboot got delayed after episode 3. Food Wars, the 5th plate, is delayed after episode 2, which I think a lot of manga readers are like, thank God. But I was actually still kind of having fun with this show. Megumi finally won something in the first episode. Good for her.
Wow.
Okay. And then there's a couple shows that were just starting to air this season as well that got delayed, like Diary of Our Days at the Breakwater.
Which so this is a show about fishing. I did not think it was that bad.
I thought it was a little boring. But I also think fishing is boring.
See, I like fishing. I used to fish a shit ton as a kid. So
really?
I really enjoyed it. I was like, this is cute. It was a little cutesy. But I liked it overall, and I think it has, it's decent. So I'm going to keep watching it probably when it resumes.
Okay, yeah, so that 3 episodes of that came out, so it's a good, if you want to check into it and see if you want to watch it later, that's a good amount of episodes to get an idea for what the show is like, at least.
Yeah, it's at least a new premise. I don't think anyone's ever done a fishing anime, so.
Not recently, at least, that I can remember, yeah.
Yeah.
There's fishermen in anime, in Hajime no Ippo or whatever. There's some fishing that goes on, but yeah. Appare Ranman got delayed after episode 3.
Which
that
really
sucks.
Made me sad because it's interesting.
It's really
weird
cool
and interesting.
And of course, being by PA Works, it looks really, really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like the 1890s, isn't it? In the U.S.
Yeah.
is what it's
1800s
set.
or something. Yeah,
late 1800s for sure. Yeah, at least.
Yeah. So I was like, oh my gosh.
And those 2 Japanese guys are going to do a Trans-America race in this steam car. Yeah, I don't know. That seems like a pretty cool idea for a show, honestly. And I love PA Works, and it's an original, so sad to see that get delayed. But hey, it's more important to make sure people are safe. But yeah, it's just another casualty of the season, unfortunately. The next show, Millionaire Detective, Balance Unlimited, delayed after episode 3. This show is so fucking funny. Oh my god.
This show is weird. The opening is amazing. I was what the fuck is up with this opening?
Yeah.
So there's apparently some dude dancing like some martial arts dance in the beginning, and I didn't even catch that. Now it's gonna bother me that I don't know what it's called. One of my friends pointed out to me that that's what they were doing.
Is it like the Brazilian one, like capoeira or something?
Yeah,
or?
Capoeira.
Okay,
Yeah. So like I'm kind of wondering how that's gonna come into it, because I mean if they have it in the opening, it has to be in the show somehow.
Probably.
Yeah, and how is there going to be strippers in it? Like, I'm like, tell me more. What's going to happen?
It's so funny because, like, the detective who's super rich, he's basically like a Japanese Batman.
I love your description of him. That's, like, pretty spot on.
It's
really
so ridiculous. It's almost like a parody of Batman, I feel like, because he's working with the police force, but he's, like, just throwing money at every problem. It's good. I love it.
He's probably a little more socially awkward than Batman.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Probably. I didn't watch any episodes of this, but Idolish 7 Second Beat, the second season of Idolish 7 came out.
Oh shit.
Which
That's
I know
be big.
A lot of girls are excited about.
Yes, this is going to be a huge deal when it does finally restart.
No.
Every convention you go to, men, there will be Idolish 7 merchandise everywhere. Everywhere. Can't escape it.
The first season of Idol 7 was actually, like, pretty fun. Like, as far as, like, male idol shows go, it's got to be up there with the best of them, so.
Oh, yeah. It's well done. Yeah.
Another one I didn't watch, but I just listed here for completion's sake, is Bungo and Alchemist Years of Judgment, which got delayed after episode 4.
So I actually did watch some of this. It reminded me of Sword Boys, which disappointed me because I was excited about it. I thought it was a spinoff of Bungo Stray Dogs.
Oh, yeah, me too.
But it's more of like a ripoff. It's like a ripoff of Bungo. They're like, let's use Bungo's idea of using like
Japanese
famous,
writers.
Yeah. And let's just make our own characters of them. So they basically made another version of all of them. And really all they do is they stay trapped in this library, and occasionally they go to like save a book that's going to be burned. Mm-hmm. Kind of like how, you know, the Sword Boys, they like appear to save some bullshit time, you know?
Oh, yeah.
It's just like that. I have a feeling that just like the Sword Boys anime, it's going to be a lot of like, and then they made cupcakes. Like, so.
And so, yeah, like, basically I just wanted to take us through all that to say just like, hey, this is like a significantly reduced season in size and scope, but there's still enough anime that are airing that I think we can talk about. But
well, and we also wanted to talk about. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say they are in danger of potentially getting postponed at any point. Yeah. Some of them, anyway, at least.
Yeah, and we also wanted to talk about like the shows that did get postponed, because a lot of them I think are actually decent shows.
Yeah. We'll have to figure out a way to do it, though. It's like, when are we going to talk about them and how? It's going to be a question to figure out.
That is going to be hard, because I don't know if it's just going to suddenly be like, and now they're starting again, or if it's going to be next season that they start them.
I'm finding next season really interesting because a lot of anime production for summer would be happening right around now. Like, especially like voice acting recording that's not happening now. There's like reports of like voice actors and voice acting directors saying like, yeah, we're not recording things that we would normally be recording. So the thing is, like, summer season could be really badly affected by this. Like, there may not be a real summer season. I don't know.
Oh boy.
Like, as far as this season goes, there's only a few shows I know for sure that are like already complete in production, which is like My Next Life is a Villainess, Tower of God, Arte, Sing Yesterday for Me, and Ascendance of a Bookworm season 2. And then I think BNA is also like 11 out of 12 episodes finished or something, like they were saying, so it's pretty likely done. But everything else could potentially still just be postponed at any point. So, yeah.
So we're going to do our best, but expect mess, basically.
Basically.
I don't know, we'll probably just keep readers up to date on things, like in episode by episode. And then I know I'll probably take a few of these shows. I think a lot, so, you know, we'll probably watch these shows that are postponed anyway and sort of keep you. If they do just start again, I guess we'll just watch them. This is how it was.
I'm assuming they're going to just restart with the whatever season they get stuck into.
That's my guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that they'll start in summer. Part of me is like, no, they're just gonna start in the middle of a season and be like, episode 3.
Oh god.
Yeah, TV companies have to figure that out with like broadcasting stuff, like what they're gonna do, like re-air those first 3 episodes.
Yeah, I think they would be better off just re-airing those first 3 episodes.
I think that makes sense.
I think
too.
that would fit better into our, especially if they're gonna like cut a bunch of summer shows and delay them. It would make sense to take these shows and
for sure.
Yeah, we just have to survive the giant hornets now, or whatever you want to call them, wasps.
Oh god, I heard about those. Please no. I don't want to be stung by giant fucking hornets. Jesus. I had a break written in here, but we got through the first part really quickly. Do you guys want to keep going?
Let's keep going.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so now on to the anime that are actually still airing. They've survived the pandemic.
The culling. Yes.
For better or worse. So, first thing that aired this season was Tamayomi, the Baseball Girls, which is on Funimation. It's from a manga. The studio is Studio A Cat, who made Frame Arms Girl. And the director, Toshinori Fukushima, directed major seasons 3 through 6. So, like, he's got that major pedigree. One other weird note is that the character designs were by the Konosuba dude, Koichi Kikuta.
That's weird.
They don't come out quite as well when in this show as they do in Konosuba. Yeah, so this is a show about girls playing baseball, and especially about like a pitcher and catcher who are a battery. They used to be close friends. The pitcher has this like magic pitch she throws where it's like a fucking just nasty curve / slider that just breaks like right at the plate, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So she learns to master that, but like she has like trauma because when she was learning to throw this pitch in middle school, her catcher couldn't catch it, and she was like, "You're making me look bad. I keep getting past balls, and we're losing games because of you." And so instead of like figuring out a way to catch the pitch, she told her like, "Just throw fastballs." And
what
of course,
a cunt!
it was pretty shitty. I mean, like it's probably like those major league catchers though who. Like, they try to catch, like, Tim Wakefield's knuckleball, and they just can't. And they're like, I don't want to catch this guy. I can't do it. It's making me look bad.
Also tell her, because she's, like, the only one who's, like, really serious about that team. And she's like, none of us really care about winning. We're just here for, like, the credits or something like that. And I'm like, dude, I would immediately walk off any field if, like, I found that out. Like, I don't want to play with you. Fuck this.
We just want to have fun and chill. It's like, no, come on, we're playing sports.
We can do that, but you're still going to try for the win a little bit, right?
Yeah, right? Like, otherwise, it's just, what the hell is the point? It's just depressing.
Yeah.
And so in high school, Yomi, who's the pitcher, she meets back up with Tamaki, or Tama, who has become this really good catcher, known for, like, never allowing a passed ball. And so, yeah, she can throw the curveball to her. It works out. And then basically they start building a team around them. There's like I think there's like quite a bit of Yuri bait in this show with the girls like holding hands and like rubbing their faces into each other's stomachs and like
you don't say
the thick muscular thighs and the art style, which is just fun.
That is 100% accurate because I remember being in high school and taking note that our softball team. All of them have big booties and thick thighs.
Oh yeah, gotta generate that power.
Oh man,
yeah. I was like, that's a legit thing. They tend to have those thick thighs. So yeah,
it's similar with the volleyball team too. Yeah,
everyone knows that the secret to like thick thighs and nice butts is just to walk a lot, like to walk and run a lot.
Well, squats.
Is that why you've been doing all those walking, Cat?
No, I'm just saying. Like if you look at people who walk for their job. They often have the best butts.
Oh, that's true. Squats and lunges don't hurt as well.
Yeah, that definitely helps.
So the problem with the show is it looks like shit. Like,
dude, there's a CGI scene in the second episode, and I was just like, oh, fuck. It, like, scared me. It was so bad. I now know where.
So I saw your note about episode 4, so I deliberately went to episode 4 and was like, it can't be that bad. And I like watched I was like, oh no, the CGI, it's overwhelming.
It's
not
insane.
The CGI. Yeah, no, it was bad. I also found it just not that interesting. And I like sports anime, and I was just like, meh. So.
I agree. It's not that interesting.
My only
and
positive
so
was
depressing.
that at least Miss Fuji is pretty cute.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
like all I could take from it.
That's like another show that we're going to cover, whereas like the only thing I could take from it is like, oh, that one girl's real hot. Like, that's basically it.
The anime eyes in this are just like really big and stereotypical too. It kind of looked like a teenager drew this to me.
Oh man, yeah, it's rough. I'm like, who knows how much time they had to work on this, or like what the talent level is of all the people drawing. But like, it really just did not come out well.
Man, if you were to tell me that they rushed this, I would completely
totally
believe you.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
would completely
and I'm
believe
not
it.
saying, I mean, hey, I can't draw that well, but I'm just saying I've seen a shit ton better.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
Yeah, well, when it's
You
your
know.
profession, you have certain standards you need to live up to.
when I'm comparing it, like, well, I can't draw that well, so I'll give them props there. You know it's bad. Because, like,
Yeah.
you know, that's all I can say to feel bad for them is that, so.
All right. Speaking of shows that look like shit, Tower of God.
It doesn't look that bad.
I adjusted. It bothered me at first, but then I was like, all right, this is more of like its art style.
It is
So
definitely the different art style. I don't like this type of like kind of sketchy line work that they're using. It does look a lot like the webtoon, which I went and read the first chapter of or something just to get an idea of what it looks like. And that's one of the interesting things about Tower of God is that it is adapted from a Korean manhwa instead of like a Japanese manga or something.
Yeah, and this is going to turn into a big deal because we know that the God of High School is going to come out next also. Mm-hmm. And that's also another manhwa. And there's a lot of really good manhwa out there, and they can differ a lot from like just manga. So basically, this is what I was telling Bcom earlier. If I had to compare this to an anime genre, but say it's not the same, this is Korean's version of shonen. Is what this is. And it reminds me of a couple other manhwas I've read. It was here, The Gamer, The God of High School, which I already mentioned, and then like my personal favorite is Solo Leveling, which is
I've heard that one. That looks pretty good actually.
It's really cool, and they all have this similar start. One thing is that this one, Tower of God, actually has a younger character. Usually, most of these characters are high school or even in some of them are in their 20s, which is different from like shonen, which they're usually young boys. Yeah, I just can't wait. I really wish they would do Solo Leveling next because it's such a fun read. And a lot of the time, these characters are just like really, really OP. Like they're almost one punch manning it the whole time. So, but Tower of God is not like that. It has the younger character. Oh yeah, and there's usually they almost all start off as like training arcs at some point. After you've watched enough of them or read enough of them, you'll start picking up all these weird differences.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I do like Korean manhwa. I find them to be a little bit more mature on average than manga.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, but I found the beginning of this to be so slow. Like the first episode, I could not understand anything that was going on. I felt like
Oh, that was my other point I was going to tell you. A lot of these, they just like throw you right in the middle of it. And a lot of the time, you're figuring shit out along with the main character. And I mean, like, they could just be like a regular character in a regular world just like ours. And suddenly they find this underworld and they suddenly have these powers. And then all this shit's being thrown at them. And they're like, what? And you're sitting there going, what? Also, and you have to like learn with them. So like some of these, when they start off, are just like overwhelming, and you just kind of got to just relax and know that the things will be explained, but sometimes they go on too long and then they quit making any sense at all.
I don't know. I watched a lot of anime to like prepare for this season, and I remember in particular, this is the one that my boyfriend walked by and was like, "That looks dumb as shit."
I think the art style can really throw you off.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's weird, but I think the second episode got much better, and there was a lot more in it, and I was interested. I saw that Leo compared it to Naruto, Or was that you? Or Bcom?
That was me. Naruto
yeah.
or Hunter x Hunter with the exam arc. Yeah.
Which I felt that too. Like in the middle of the second episode, I was like, "Is this Naruto? What's happening?" I don't know. I do feel like we have some responsibility to cover it because it is by far the most popular thing this season. But it's good, but it's not. I don't understand why it is the most popular.
I will say the two things I like about it a lot are Kevin Penkin is doing the soundtrack, who did the Made in Abyss soundtrack and Shield Hero soundtracks. And the OP and ED are by Stray Kids, and they're fucking great. Like, the songs are great. So yeah, that is nice. Like, at the beginning and end of every episode, you get at least that. It's just like what's happening in between the OP and ED. I'm just like, I've seen better versions of this kind of thing. Now, friends who have read ahead in Tower of God tell me it gets more interesting as it goes on, but they said that about Black Clover too, and I don't know if I still believe that. I don't know.
Is this gonna?
I'll agree with that. I was not very happy with the beginning of Black Clover, but I'm pretty invested now. So,
is this gonna be like Black Clover or any other shonen that we do, where it's a never ending basically? Because I don't really want to start covering a show that it's gonna have 200 episodes.
Well, like
go to Webtoon
shonen,
right now.
This is what it does have in common with. They can go on forever.
Yeah, Tower of God has like several hundred chapters already on Webtoon. It's on what is called season 3 of it, I guess. But like season 2, for instance, went on for 337 chapters.
Oh,
so
It sounds like a manhwa.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to be. I want us to cover it because it is so popular, but also I don't want to be trapped in like. But now we have to cover this forever.
Well, I don't know. We've dropped things when they get boring before, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. But yeah.
Oh, what was the one with the boy and the marionettes and shit?
Oh God, Karakuri Circus.
Yes. This does remind me of that in a weird way. Like, well, we can give it a shot, and then look where that happened.
We were happy for a while, and then suddenly, like, I don't remember what episode, we all three started going, oh no, what's happening?
Yeah, no, this may end up being
and then
another
we found out they skipped like 20 chapters at one point. We're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it'll be interesting because will they skip chapters in Tower of God is a good question too. I wonder. We'll see how the pacing handles it.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's move on to the next show, which I don't think we're going to spend a ton of time on. It's called The Eighth Sun. Are you kidding me? On Crunchyroll. The studios that are working on it are Synergy SP and Shin A Animation, and the director, Tatsuo Miura, is a first-time director. Yeah, I just thought this was like a super boring, generic isekai.
It's
like
absolutely the most boring way to be isekai that happened to him.
He just fell asleep.
Yeah.
And he was isekai.
Just use Truck-kun. He's there.
Truck-kun is like just waiting. Come on.
It's very stereotypical, but it's done well at least. Like the entire time I wasn't bored.
I guess so.
I will say it's not like, oh, this is so good. But I was interested the entire time. And I could see myself like trying episode 3 and being like, is it good? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So I won't say it's shit. It's not shit, but it's not like quality. Okay.
It's like, what's the whole thing? Is it like he gets isekai, but he's in a family and where he is the 8th son, and so that doesn't mean any shit. Like, it doesn't mean jack shit in a noble family. You're not going to get basically anything except for some money and get told to like fuck off. And
did anyone feel like the elf dude was creepy child molester creepy, like the way that he would do things? Like, obviously it didn't turn out that way, but it was like, come to the forest by yourself, tell no one.
Yes.
Like, they can't know what we do here. They wouldn't understand. I was like, this is all stuff a pedophile would say. This is terrible. Like,
yeah.
But I don't know, like the whole idea that he has magical powers and that's what's going to get him out of this hole is interesting. It's a little convenient. The random elf person that comes to teach him is weird. I don't know. It might be interesting.
Maybe, I don't know, but it didn't stand out from the pack basically for me.
Yeah.
Unlike the next show, which was pretty interesting, Kakushigoto on Funimation. which is from a manga, Studio Ajiado, which is like a sister studio to Kyoto Animation. And the director, Yuta Murano, who has directed How Not to Summon a Demon Lord, which is a very different show.
Yeah.
And also, notably, it's from the original author of Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei and Joshiraku, which explains the character designs quite a bit, and the types of characters. And the music by Yukari Hashimoto. He also did Three Gatsu no Lion's music and Sarazanmai's music, even Torador's music. So, yeah. So I want to get like one thing clear is that Funimation sucks at subtitling sometimes.
Oh, it was so bad. I couldn't tell if I should be looking at the top or the bottom of the screen. And they were so erratic with it. It was bad.
It's rough because, like, especially like with shows like Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei, where there's like constant dialogue and there's constant puns as well. Like, there's so much stuff that you just have to sort of explain for the English language viewer that the screen just ends up being like a massive paragraph of text. And it's popping up at different times because Funimation doesn't do like real typesetting or anything. So it's not in the portions of the screen you would expect it to be. Like, typically the spoken dialogue that is being spoken between characters right now in the foreground, it should be on the bottom. And then like the dialogue that's like in the background should be at the top of the screen, separated from it. And if there's any like typesetting of like things that are written, they should be somewhere near where they are supposed to be written. Like, I think Crunchyroll has been pretty good about that. Funimation, not as much. And like, it just really shows with this kind of show where there's so much information on screen at a time. It's so frustrating.
As Funimation has gotten more and more shows, I've been so sad because I just don't think they handle them as professionally as Crunchyroll does.
Yeah, they're lagging a little bit behind, and like especially like Crunchyroll, and also definitely like Netflix does better subtitling, I feel like, too. And yeah, I don't know, they have to pick it up somehow. They got to figure out a way, because if they're gonna have all these shows, like, God,
Netflix
they just
better,
need to
they have
look
the money.
at their competitors and be like, well, it looks like they're doing this, let's just copy them. It's not like that's, you know, it's not like they can't. I don't know.
Yeah. It takes time sometimes to figure it out, I guess, for the different companies, but hopefully they will, because they've gotten, I think, a lot of negative feedback on this show in particular, and it's annoying because it's like a pretty good show. It's like a pretty good father-daughter story. Kakushigoto is actually his name, which his name means secret when you put it all together, but it also means work, shigoto, and drawing, or kaku, or draw. So his work is drawing manga, and he wants to keep it a secret from his daughter because he's embarrassed about it.
It's perverted manga.
Yeah, perverted, ecchi manga. And
it's interesting that there's a show that's like the opposite of this, where the guy's a perv manga artist and he's just like proud, and his daughter is like embarrassed about it, and this is the opposite.
Oh yeah, like Ao-chan. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I was like, what show is that?
Was it Ao-chan Can't Study?
I just
think
remember
it was,
he wanted his boob pudding.
Yes, it's something can't study. Remember, because she like keeps trying to. Yeah.
Yeah, the little tiny dad. That's true. That is like the opposite of the show. I never thought about it that way. That's really funny.
Yeah.
A couple things about the second episode I did like. I thought it was kind of funny, and like it made me feel better about every time Ichiko would catch Kakushi, like kind of spying on them or lurking nearby. Mm-hmm. Like, good for you. She's on her game. But then there was just like all this sad stuff at the end that just made me think of just a bunch of questions. Like, what happened to the mother? Mm-hmm. Did she do all those boxes that's in her closet?
Yeah, I think she left them behind with the ages that Hime should open them, basically. I think? I don't know, unless he did it, but... Yeah.
No, he totally had to have done... like, she had to have done that before she died.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's my guess.
Yeah, because Kakushi, she got the kimono out of it, and he's like, "Where'd you get that?" She's like, "It was in the boxes." So like he didn't know.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So
the
mother
then it's
must have
definitely
done it.
the mother's doing. Yeah. Which is kind of sweet. Like, if you know you're gonna die, like leaving gifts.
What if
It's
the mother left him
though.
when she found out about his job?
Oh God. That's why he's so ashamed, because he's like, no, people really will leave me if I tell them.
My daughter will leave me next.
It was really interesting how the daughter, like, when she, because they're flash forwarding to when she like discovers this in the future and the boxes.
Yeah,
and
so
stuff.
like we know she finds out when she's 18.
And she's upset with herself that she didn't try to find out more about her dad. Like, so her dad, I don't know if he's dead or if he's just gone, and she can't ask him questions about what his work was like. But that's interesting to see her regretting that. Like, I get the feeling that this might be a bit of a tearjerker in the end, even if it is pretty funny, like most of the time. Like while I'm watching
it's pretty funny right now.
It is cute. I found it a little like mundane the first few episodes, but it could get better. Because it has like hints of darker subtext, which do interest me. They just didn't go into it enough in the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, I think given the writer, we should definitely expect like more subtext to come for sure. Yeah, given their past work. So yeah, I enjoyed this show. I think it's pretty interesting. Should we move on to listeners on Funimation?
Oh yeah,
this is original anime from Studio Mappa, and like, holy shit! From the OP, can you fucking tell it's Mappa? Like, just the OP alone is so well animated. Like, so many little clips of like awesome animation in that OP. The director Hiroaki Ando, who directed Ajin, Demi-Human, and also of note, like we mentioned earlier, it's created by Dai Sato, who created Eureka 7. And man, I got huge Eureka 7 vibes from this, because like the main dude is like sort of a mechanic, and then there's like this like superhuman girl who he's clearly going to fall in love with.
But like I love the character designs in this. It's very pretty. Everything is pretty, but like I wasn't. First of all, they don't give you enough hints in the first 2 episodes for me to really know if I'm interested in this.
Okay.
There's a lot like still uncovered. And then I also just found it, I don't know, like I wasn't as intrigued by the story. It was kind of a shame.
Yeah, I don't know where the story is necessarily going for sure. Like, yeah, it's this world where there are these superhumans named players who fend off these monsters named Earless, who in the second episode, we kind of find out that the Earless are former humans who failed at becoming players and then are like hunting down players afterwards, like to like be killed, I guess. I don't know. The Earless also kind of reminded me of like big versions of the Heartless from the Kingdom Hearts series, which was kind of funny. But yeah, the way that they fight them off, there's these things called equipment. The one that Echo, the main character, has like built and taken care of is basically just like a Vox amplifier that Mew, who is the main girl, can like plug into her lower back with like a guitar cable.
Isn't it like on the hip or something like that?
I thought it was like just like right in the smack in the middle of her lower back, but I could be wrong.
No, she has something on her hip, but the plug-in is on her back.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So, everything about this is interesting. Like, the idea that she gets something plugged into her is really interesting. Like, the whole Gundam thing is really interesting. I don't know. It's just, it just falls flat for whatever reason. Like, and I feel like every season there is one of these shows that is produced really well. It's like on paper, you know, the studio is great. It seems like it's going to do well, and it just falls flat for whatever reason.
Yeah. And, like, not much happened in the second episode. Like, the second episode, these, like, 3 sisters show up called the Noibaten sisters. And the only thing I really liked about them is that they look like they're straight out of Nier Automata with, like, the black, like, things over their face. And, like, they're doing poses and stuff. And, like, they were kind of cute, but, like, also, I just didn't get much out of that episode otherwise. Like, I think the music in this series is pretty cool, which makes sense because it's going to focus on the music a lot. But yeah, I'm just not too drawn into the dynamic between the main two. It's like, I don't know, it's like very like teenager romance, like, you know, preteen book. I don't know. It's fine, but it's nothing like amazing so far.
Yeah. I have some concerns about the animation because it looks like, to me, that it looks like it's being animated by the team who did Dororo.
Yeah. And
that got kind of janky at times, but the character designs to me look like they came out of like Rage of Bahamut.
Yeah, they do. They totally do.
So I'm like, do they have like a mix of both the teams working on it? So I don't know.
I wonder, yeah, because there are moments when it doesn't look great for sure, and then there are other moments when it looks really nice. So I don't know. It's a little bit uneven through the first couple episodes, but yeah, I don't know. It didn't hook me same way as like with Cat. Like I'm not sure where it's going.
I'll probably whether or not we're covering it, I'll probably at least give it like 2 or 3 more episodes.
Okay. Yeah, I probably will too. Because I just didn't know what to make of it for sure. So moving on from listeners to Wave Listen to Me on Funimation. This is the source of this is a manga, and it's Studio Sunrise, who make Gundam and Love Live, but found time to make another type of show. Director Tatsuma Minamikawa has directed Fairy Tail Movie 2 Dragon Cry before this. And it's also created by Hiroaki Samura, who created Blade of the Immortal, surprisingly. A very different kind of thing, but this was a breath of fucking fresh air for me. Because you almost never see anime like this these days that are led by, like, a 26-year-old woman who is not in school. Like, she's just working at a restaurant. And it's just, like, about sort of, like, adults being adults, but, like, yeah, she basically gets roped into this talk radio broadcast. She got, like, really drunk after work, and this guy who, like, is a producer at the radio show discovered her, brought her in, and was like, just threw her at the microphone and says, and he, like, loved what she was talking about and just made her record a radio show while she was super drunk. And she only, like, sort of figures out, like, what had happened the next day when she hears herself on the radio complaining about her terrible ex-boyfriend, Mitsuo.
I hated that. I'm sitting here, I'm like, she complained for literally half an episode. I do not want to fucking watch this.
Well, she had a lot to complain about.
Dude, it was like a reflex. I like, after like 2 minutes, I just started tuning it out and nodding my head and going, Just,
no, you're not the demographic for this radio show.
Well, I thought it was a little bit like Love Line and like Dr. Drew After Dark, where they like answer people's questions and stuff. But like, she turned everyone back to her and then back to complaining, and I was like, oh, shut up.
Well, we also got that radio broadcast in, like, the very beginning of episode 1, which is, like, I assume from in the future, like, when she's become more established, because it's, like, she's doing this reading where she's answering people's questions, and she's not complaining. Instead, she's, like, literally pretending to fight a bear on Sapporo Mountain in Hokkaido. And, like, I just liked how she was working together with, like, the audio mixers to make it sound like she was actually fighting a bear. Which is cool. Like, I would listen to a show like that. That's kind of fun. But yeah, the broadcast that she does, like, near the end of episode 1, where she's, like, complaining about the guy who, like, tricked her into lending him, like, 500,000 yen with, like, a stupid sob story about his dad's factory, how it was going to close and shit, and then, like, dumped her, like, immediately afterwards. Like, that guy has it coming. Like, come on. I don't know.
Yeah. But I kept, like, wanting to ask her more questions. Like, but how long had you dated him? But, like, but what? I wanted to know more. I was really surprised by this show. I came into it being like, whatever. Like, this doesn't seem like it's going to be that great. It's not that ranked that high. And then I was really surprised by how good it was. There's just the energy of the show is what makes it good, in my opinion, not reading the plot. Because if I'm reading the plot, it doesn't sound that amazing.
Oh, yeah, it sounds kind of boring. Just read the plot.
Yeah. It just has a good feel to it. It's well done. The plot is well done. I highly recommend anyone who's like, meh, but this seems boring. Like, no. Just try the first episode. See, you'll know right away if you like it or not.
Yeah, I also did the same thing you did, Bcom, first thing I did was check out and see who this voice actress is for her.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, she's done nothing. How the fuck did she get this role?
It looks like she was one of the fucking mushrooms in Ishizuka Reviewers. Like, literally, that's the level of role she's done before this, and she's fucking amazing in this. She's so good. Like, and they make a big deal in the second episode about how, like, she is impressive because she could go for, like, a long time without stumbling over her speech, which is something I know, like, we all struggle with, like, as podcasters. Like, it's something that's very difficult to do, especially when you're just doing stuff on the fly with, like, no prep. And so, like, that's something that's impressive, but, like, the voice actor has to be able to portray that, like, talking really quickly and excitedly about something, and she does such an amazing job. I was so impressed. Riho Sugiyama is her name, if I didn't mention it already. Yeah. Cool. She's gonna be a star. Like, I hope, anyway. But yeah, I'm really excited to see where this show goes and how it develops. There are a bunch more cast members that appear in the OP that haven't really been introduced too much yet. People who work at the radio station, other broadcasters at the radio station, one of whom seems like a little bit jealous of Minari for getting like attention from the producer and stuff. I'm curious to see how they all play against each other and how like her career develops. And I also want to see like a little bit more about like radio production behind the scenes, which I enjoyed those moments in the first 2 episodes about how they were mixing voices and like adding audio and just like the whole technique of like fucking radio broadcasts, which is really interesting to look at.
Yeah, for sure. It's an unexpected bright spot in a season of mostly meh. So I'm very excited about the show.
Oh yeah. Okay, Sakura Wars, the animation on Funimation. This is a weird one. It's from Studio Sans again. It's based on a game. It's directed by Manabu Ono, who directed The Asterisk War and Sword Art Online Alicization. He's doing this now. It's weird because this is a sequel to an anime called Sakura Wars from 2000. And it's...
Kat, did you get to watch it?
I watched the first episode and I found it like weird, and I was just like, no.
Would you agree that it's Revu Starlight, but in a different
similar
package, but with like a splash of Gundam? That's what I got from this.
It's a really good
There's
summary.
a lot of like theater, and they're on the stage, and I'm just like, what is this?
And then there's fighting, but they're fighting with Gundams. I was like, what?
It's all very dramatic. There's like a place where I guess this girl and the dude are like romantically involved in some slight way, and he brings like this young girl back with him, and it's
from
like,
from the Moscow combat.
I think this romance is completely one-sided for now.
Yeah, I'm just like, well, it seems like you like him, but I'm not sure he has the same memo. It's dramatic, and I was just like, I don't know. I was actually expecting to like this, because when you said Revu Starlight, I was like, oh, well, it might be better than Revu Starlight, and I might like him more. So I went into it like excited and hopeful, and then as the show, like the first episode went on, I was like, oh no.
Yeah, it's just like a battle idol show, basically, at the heart of it. Yeah,
I swear to God, if it gets a talking animal, holy shit.
It's so weird. I went back and I watched like the first episode of the show from 2000. And like, yeah, like I can see that the similarities between that one and this one. It just seems like a lot of stuff probably happened in that like 25 episode original season that would explain and inform like the things that are happening now. Like, this is a true sequel, and they didn't do a ton to just like really bring you back into like the world of like whatever has happened. They had like one little bit in the first episode about like catching you up, and that was it. The only other thing I would say is that Anastasia is super hot, and if that would be like the only reason I would keep watching this show is for Anastasia to see her do shit. But that was the show I was thinking about earlier, where it's like the only thing I could take away from it is one character being hot. So yeah,
all right, that's fair.
Next show I can take a lot of things away from: Gal and Dino on Funimation.
Okay, another one that I read the manga, and when I heard this, my first thought was, this has to be a short.
Yeah, it would make so much more sense as a short.
And then, like, I find out it's like full-length episodes. I'm like, there's no way they can pull this off, and they're not.
They're not. So this is from the people who made Pop Team Epic. Jun Aoki is directing again. Kamikaze Doga Studio, or Space Neko Company also, I guess, is involved. But yeah, it is basically a Pop Team Epic-like show where a blonde sort of Gyaru girl brings home a dinosaur randomly. And this big blue dinosaur just like lives with her.
Well, she's not the first person anime that we've watched where she got drunk and brought home a giant lizard.
Oh, God, you're right. Fucking Dora Hetero season 2 is here. Oh, who knew?
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
What are you talking about?
The one with the dragon maids.
Oh, well, Dragon Maid, or Maid Dragon. Yeah, it's true.
There you go.
That is true. It turns out this happens a lot. God.
Kat, what is it with women? They get drunk and they bring home lizards.
I don't know. I mean, I guess we do a lot of things when we're drunk, so.
Yeah, that's true.
And this is where your boyfriend walks into the room and rips off his mask and it's a lizard head underneath.
No! Yeah, that'd be interesting.
So yeah, the weird thing with the show is like the first half of every episode is like these short animated skits, and then the second half is live action, like sort of reenactments of some of those skits with some other extra skits thrown in, with like instead of the cute Garu girl, it's like an old man who's living with this dinosaur. And I kind of like the live action segments more than the animated segments, if I'm being honest. So I don't know. I kind of enjoy this less as an anime and more as like a weird, like altered reality kind of show. So yeah. I don't know. I think it's funny, but I also think like the premise of this gets old really quick. And that's why it probably would have worked better as a short, like Leo said, like a 6 or 12-minute short, maybe even. I don't know.
Yeah,
but yeah,
definitely.
Like Kat said, it's super bizarre. All right, let's move on. Not much else to say about that one, I don't think.
It's funny and weird, but not substantial.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the next show is Sing Yesterday for me, which is on Crunchyroll, or Yesterday Utate. It's from a manga, and Studio Dogakobo is making it. The director, Yoshiyuki Fujiwara, worked on New Game and Engage the Unidentified, as well as Plastic Memories. So yeah, this... I wasn't sure what to think about this after one episode, because I was interested in some of the characters, but also like feeling like I'd seen this type of story before, because the main guy, Rikuo, he is kind of like the self-described loafer who has graduated from college into becoming a guy who works to register at a convenience store. Which to say, that's a story a lot of people can probably identify with, honestly, especially in bad job market times. But he just seems to be not very passionate about much, except maybe photography. And he just has, like, no motivation, so...
Wow, he sounds super boring.
Yeah, he does. He really does. Like, doesn't sound like the type of guy I want to root for. But you know what usually walks into that kind of guy's life, Leo? Is a manic pixie dream girl.
Lots of women.
Oh, yeah. So there's two big ones. There's Haru, who is this girl who literally like walks around with like a crow on her shoulder. She is the most manic pixie dream girl that ever manic pixie dream girl.
You can't escape me. I'm a crow.
And then the other girl is Shinako, who he dated, I guess, for a while they were in college together. But they broke up, and she has an interesting past where basically her like ex-boyfriend died.
Well,
this is what we find out in like episode 2.
I don't think that they dated. I think that they were good friends, and he never confessed to her.
Oh, I guess maybe that's true. I thought it was so unclear because it seemed like they had romantic history together. Like that's the way they acted, but yeah.
I feel like it's one of those things where the subtext was always there, but like he never was like, "Hey, I feel this way," and she's caught up on this dude that's dead, so she never said anything.
Right.
And so they were just like friends, but like, you know, that weird feeling that you get when you hang out with two people who are friends and you're like, but no, there's something going on. It's like, I think it's like that.
Yeah. And like, so he just, in the first episode, he confesses this crush finally. And she asks like, nah, can we just stay friends basically? Cause like we learned in episode 2, she's still hung up on the relationship she had with that guy, which was pretty intense as he was getting sicker and sicker and then eventually passed away. And she just can't stop thinking about him. But like she seems open to potentially pursuing something with Rikuo if she could ever get over herself and her own like holdups. But for now, it's just like a solid no. And then Crow Girl is really interested in Rikuo, apparently because like she dropped something in the street like 5 years ago, and he picked it up for her, and now she's been in love with him ever since. It's a typical anime story.
That sounds like something an actual crow would do. Like,
yeah.
I remember this person from years ago. They helped me. I'll turn into a hot girl and be their girlfriend.
Yeah, I like how she styles her hair like after the crow too. Like, Her hair just looks like the flowing feathers of a crow or something spread out. And yeah, she used to be the student of Shinako, but I guess she also dropped out of high school for reasons. And so, yeah, there's a whole bunch of like stuff going on in this like whole love triangle. And then there's another guy, Ro, who gets introduced in episode 2, who is the younger brother of Shinako's ex-boyfriend who died. And so he seems to care a lot about her because she was always around. And he seems to have feelings for her as well. And so it's a big mess. And yeah, it's pretty well presented. I think it looks pretty nice as an anime. And yeah, it just seems like it's going to be pretty depressing. And it seems like Haru's just going to get there to like cheer up Rikuo the entire time.
Oh, sounds like good reasons not to watch it.
I don't know. I'm curious about it. I want to see what happens. I might start to hate it around episode 6. It seems like the kind of show where it's either going to be that or I'll start to like it a lot, depending on which way it goes. But yeah. Haru kind of like declares war on Shinako in the second episode. Even though Shinako's like, I'm not interested in him, she's like, no, I know you're interested. And I'm declaring war on you.
For what it's worth, I feel like it's serious enough that I'm very interested in just seeing how it goes.
Right.
But I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was an interesting one where apparently it's going to have like 12 television episodes and then 6 that are streaming. So it's like going to be 18 episodes in all, which is interesting.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood that then.
Sounds like another good reason we shouldn't cover it.
Leah, hush. You're going to be stuck with it. You know it.
A couple more shows before the break. We got Arte on Funimation. This is from a manga studio, 7 Arcs. The director, Takayuki Hamada, has done The Prince of Tennis, Aaron the Beast Player. The OP is also sung by Maya Sakamoto, which is kind of nice. So, yeah, this is about... It's loosely apparently based on an Italian Renaissance master named Artemisia Gentileschi, who was, like, one of the first female, like, major painters, I guess, in the Italian Renaissance. And so, yeah, the main character here, Arte, is loosely based on that. She's a noble-born girl who is not excited to just be, like... the wife of some guy, and like that's like all her mother wants for her is just to like marry some rich guy so you can have security, basically. And she's like, no, I want to do something else. I don't want to be locked in a cage for the rest of my life. And so she goes out to visit all these art workshops and finally gets someone to take her in as an apprentice after like almost everybody rejected her almost entirely because she's a girl. And at one point, she's like, I'm going to chop all my hair off to give up on being a girl if it means that like somebody will finally notice her. And so she does get noticed by Leo, of all people. Leo, thank you for noticing Arte.
You're welcome.
Leo, who runs a workshop in Florence, Italy, asks her why she wants to become an artisan. And she basically, at first she says, like, I just love drawing. And he doesn't seem very satisfied by that. And he gives her like an impossible job to try to do, just like to prepare all of these canvases, like these wooden boards that he's going to paint on. And she gets it done overnight, which is really surprising, which is like a lot of sanding and shit. Her hands like are really hurting.
See, I'm all about giving women equal opportunity.
Yeah. You and Kazuma from Konosuba are very about equality of opportunity. So, like, Leo had no intention of actually making her an apprentice, but she takes this all in stride, and it's made her so happy that he treated her like anybody else, that he even talked to her and looked at her drawings and considered her, that she's still, like, so happy. And then she admits that, like, the true reason she really wanted to become an artisan is just to make a living on her own ability rather than just, like, leeching off of somebody else and not having her own life. Which that aligns a lot more with the Leo guy's like reasons for why he became an artisan, because he was like a starving kid. And so she gets accepted as his apprentice and moves out of her home and like lives in this shack above Leo's warehouse. And yeah, like I've watched several episodes of this, and it kind of continues on with her like sort of forcing her way into the art world when like a whole bunch of men like are gatekeeping it. and just like being determined, and like she meets some other guys who are like interested in her and like think she's interesting because she is so different. But yeah, it's the kind of thing where I was watching it, I was also thinking, like, if you're the type of person who didn't like Captain Marvel because you didn't like if it was like in your face about like a girl power, Arte is not the show for you. Like, because yeah, it's definitely upfront about like her wanting to overcome that barrier and get into this world of art, and like there's a lot of like evil men who are trying to stop her from doing that. And it's like can be a little bit over the top at times.
I don't think it's like evil men, because like in the first 2 episodes, I didn't find anyone to be evil, just like stereotypical of the time.
Yeah, stereotypical, I would say. Yeah,
like once she proves herself, they're not like, well, we're still going to be shitty to you. A lot of times they're still like, well, okay, you did your thing. I guess you can draw whatever the fuck you want to draw. What was it she wanted to do? Like the statue?
Yeah, there's like a statue in this guy's workshop, and so she lifted these heavy bags of clay, I think, to like move them around. They're like, there's no way this puny girl can carry these bags of clay. And then she's like, oh wait, I remember watching some guy put his like back and knees into like dragging his cart outside. If I do the same thing with this clay, I can pick it up. And so she does, and because of that, she gets respect and she gets to draw that statue. So
yeah, I don't know, I like the art style. I like that it's different than any other anime out, just because at least it's a different setting. I get tired of all of the anime being set in the same similar, universe.
Mm-hmm.
So it's at least different and interesting and new. I thought it had potential.
Yeah, so. I think it's a pretty decent show. I don't think there's anything like I really strongly dislike about it, and I do like the way it portrays Florence, Italy. I think it looks really nice. Though I think at that time, the streets would be a lot darker and dirtier than they appear in the anime. Like there was this practice in Florence in a lot of areas of like putting boarded like bridges between the buildings over the street, so the street would be like really dark because people would walk between houses on these boards. So that's something that's like not in here, but I don't know. Maybe I have the time period wrong, but I think it was in Renaissance times that was going on.
If you get too realistic, you will ruin the fantasy.
I guess that's true. Yeah, and the real Artemisia Gentileschi has like a much darker story too. Like there was some like rape things that went on in her life. Like, oh man, so there's like a lot of dark shit that I don't know if we're gonna get into in this anime.
Yeah, part of me when like the Leo, the old guy, was like, yeah, no, you can work here. I was like, oh no, he's gonna hit on her and be like, if you let me fuck you or something.
Oh, Jesus.
I was like waiting for it, and then it didn't happen, and I was like, oh, well, maybe I'm too cynical. I don't know.
You sound disappointed about that.
No, I'm not disappointed. I just like expected it because I just felt like
you like you were
time,
like, damn, he wasn't gonna force her to have sex with him.
I just like in that time period, I just didn't think that would happen. Like I was like, oh, of course someone's gonna try to rape her, but it didn't happen. And then I was like, oh, okay, all right. Well, I mean, it's still all right.
Surprisingly, Leo seems to be a pretty decent guy.
I know. It seems
That's
like
what they all say.
No, all the girls that have dated Leo have been like, well, I thought he was a creep, but then I dated him for a while, and he's actually a good guy.
Story of my life.
Yeah.
Okay, next show. My next life as a villainess. All routes lead to doom, which is on Crunchyroll. This is based on a light novel, and the studio is Silver Link, and it's directed by Keisuke Inoue from Ao-chan Can Study.
Take a step back.
Yeah.
It's based on a light novel that's about being isekai'd into a game world that is now an anime.
Yeah.
Could you keep up with me there?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I was like, wow, there's a lot going on here.
And it's specifically an otome game world, so like one that's catered to a main female protagonist collecting a bunch of pretty boys, which historically on this podcast we dislike. Because they're usually real bad. But this one is very different. It has a twist to it because the main character is not the meek, cute, little pretty girl heroine that you play as who has no personality. No, instead, the girl that gets isekai'd into this world of the game called Fortune Lover, she gets reincarnated as Katarina Clays, or Clays, I don't know how you pronounce it.
Some reason that name is perfect for her. Katarina.
And a lot of people call her, I think, Bakarina, because she's so stupid. But she decides to use her knowledge of the game to avoid bad endings, because Katarina Clays, is supposed to be the villain of this game, who stops the main character from getting with all these cute guys, these cute princes. And so, yeah, she's going to change up how the game is supposed to go with her foreknowledge and with trying to, like, change the way that these bad ending routes went. And that makes it so much more interesting, just that little twist. Are you guys experiencing the same thing? Like, are you finding this show fun?
Yes, loving it.
Unexpectedly so, because I figured I'd go into this, it's like, oh, it's a reverse harem, whatever. No, it's got some spunk to it. I enjoy it. I don't know. She always goes in it like, well, this person will be evil and it'll be a terrible thing, and then she ends up liking them, which is kind of fun. She seems to be collecting like people who really adore her. I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like everybody's flocking to her.
And I guess in the original game, all the guys are actually like big assholes or something like that.
Yeah.
But they're not assholes right now. So it's like, so in the game, it sounds like Katarina basically turned them into the assholes they eventually become. So like in this one, since she's not an asshole herself, she's actually nice. They won't be assholes themselves. Just interesting. Wondering where he's going to go with that.
Yeah, it does feel like that. Like almost the goal is like, look, if you're nice, everyone will be nice to you. So.
Yeah, it's really interesting how like she takes like that one guy Keith, who is supposed to like lock himself away in his room for like his entire first part of his life, which eventually leads him to becoming like a playboy when he's older to compensate for all the time he lost, I guess. So like it turned like she kind of like tries to keep that from happening by befriending him, and then she almost gets like killed playing with him when he's like using his magic. And because of that, like, he goes to lock himself in his room, but instead of, like, allowing him to do that, like, she literally chops down his door with a fucking Jack Nicholson-style axe from The Shining to like, apologize to him and make it so he can't just lock himself away. So all these things she's trying to change. I also really liked episode 2, where she becomes really good friends with this girl, Mary Hunt, who is supposed to become a love interest for Alan Stewart, who is like the brother of Jordo Stewart, I guess, is the other prince. And yeah, so Mary is like really good at gardening, and Katarina is like really interested in that because she's like been raising her own plants for something to do. And
not for something to do in case she gets banished and she can fucking make a profession.
Oh, right. That's the reason. Yeah. She wants to be able to live on her own if she gets screwed over. Yeah. She's always trying to think of things in her best interest. And so she's using Mary to get better at this, but like Mary turns out to really like her, and she praises Mary for her green thumb, which is something that Alan is supposed to say in the game. And so since she said it first, Mary, like, you know, she likes hearing it from Alan, but she's more attached to Katarina. And so Alan comes and like yells at Katarina, like, stop seducing my girlfriend. But then good. He starts hanging out with her like constantly because like he wants to challenge her, and she keeps challenging him to like climbing trees, which she's like amazing at for whatever reason. She's like a monkey, until he finally like gets tired of that, and she gets tired of that, and she's like, all right, let's just play piano, and discovers that he's amazing at piano and praises him for that. And so yeah, the path it's going, it just seems like Katarina is going to keep collecting this harem of people, and I bet it's going to include like the main blonde heroine girl, because in I think it's the OP or the ED, you see them like standing together on a beach holding hands, and I'm just like, this is hilarious how she's just like changing the entire game to be about her.
Yeah
for sure. That's weird.
Any other thoughts on this show? I just think it's so much fun.
I'm interested enough that I'm like excited about the next episode, which is pretty uncommon with this kind of thing. So no, I'd say I'll keep going with it.
Okay, cool. All right, let's take a break now. We're about halfway through all the shows we have to cover, and we'll be right back.
Yep, we'll be back.
Hey dude, you into anime, manga, and all that radical stuff?
Oh yeah, man, it's tubular.
Then you should totally check out the...
This transmission has been hacked. If you want discussions, debate, reviews, and all in between, you must listen to the Anime Radicals Network at www.animeradicals.com. There's timely reviews, revolutions, mecha, and much more. Find it on iTunes, Google Podcasts, and all podcast catchers. The Anime Radicals Network.
The revolution will be simulcast.
The Trash Pandas bring you this nugget from another trash can. What happens when Brains and Bullets discuss episode 2 of One Punch Man?
Pretty much gene splicing heads. They will
Yep.
Yeah, they will splice genes. They have a cyborg gorilla. They have frog that walks on two legs and communicates at long range. Like they got. You think they splice
The Lion King?
Yeah, they have the lion. They have a f***ing lion, beast king, and
Simba.
yeah, he's f***ing Simba. I don't mean he's f***ing Simba. I mean he's f***ing Simba.
We at Trash Pandas Watch Anime dig through the trash so you don't have to. You can find the Trash Pandas Watch Anime podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter where you'll get live updates from what we do.
So, we're back with one of the weirdest fucking anime of the season, Gleipnir. Okay, is it Gleipnir or Gleipnar?
I think it's Gleipnir. Like
Gleipnir?
I thought it was Gleipnir.
Oh, man. we're probably terribly mispronouncing this. I don't really give that much of a fuck.
So
we are
Gleipnir
not.
is this thing in Norse mythology, too. It's like a binding that holds the mighty wolf Fenrir.
Okay.
Yeah, the god...
So Claire is a mighty wolf.
I guess. I don't know. All I know is everybody's real sweaty. So this is based on a manga, and Studio Pine Jam is making it. The director, Kazuhiro Yoneda, has done Yona of the Dawn, Hozuki no Reitetsu Season 2. And yeah, this show is the sweatiest, horniest, most like hormone-driven anime I've seen in quite some time that I actually like.
It's really weird. It's bizarre.
Yeah. I think after the first episode, I counted something like 18 separate panty shots in episode 1 or something. It's like Claire is naked like basically the entire time. But yeah, this is a show about a boy named Shuichi who mysteriously gains the ability to turn into a beast. And the beast just happens to look like a fucking animatronic mascot from Chuck E. Cheese. Like in the form of a wolf or something. Like, but basically it's like a kigurumi, right? Like it's like a suit that has like a zipper on the back. And he ends up using this power that he doesn't really understand to save this super hot chick named Claire Aoki from this warehouse that she lit on fire herself. The only reason...
Okay, I looked it up. It's Gleipnir.
Gleipnir? Okay.
Gleipnir.
And yeah, the only reason that he knew she was there was because he has like a crazy sense of smell when he turns into this beastly form, and he could smell like the fire, and then he could smell
He doesn't
her
have
body.
to turn into it to have the enhanced smell.
Yeah, even in his human form, he can smell that. Yeah. There's a really weird moment like right after he drags her out of the warehouse where he's like, "Oh, this girl's really hot," and almost starts to starts taking her panties off and stuff. And it's like, "Oh no, where's this show going?" But then he stops himself, realizes that he's not being himself, and runs away. But that does it's foreboding about like how this beast is like taking control of him more than he really wants it to.
Yeah.
But this girl, she was kind of like half awake when this was happening, and she kind of is interested. So she tracks him down at school the next day. He also left his cell phone behind. And so she was able to figure out who he was, and she has wanted to know more about these monsters. She already knew about them. And we find out later that's because her sister, named Elena, transformed into one of these monsters and killed their parents. Yeah. And so... yeah, basically, like, at the end of the first episode, they end up going back to her house after, like, she convinces him to, like... or basically, like, doesn't convince him, like, throws him off the top of the school to make him transform into the like, suit so she can, like, prove that it was him that, like, helped her. And then he's basically blackmailed into going with her, and they go back home and, like... it's fucking the middle of summer in Japan, which is hot as hell. So she just like starts stripping out of her clothes, which they're all sweaty, and throwing on new clothes. It's a very horny anime, and he's like trying not to look at her, but
And then she puts new clothes back on without taking a shower. So what the fuck?
true.
Yeah, useless. But I don't know. The panty shots were kind of crazy. Like,
Oh yeah, it's
I
a
was
lot.
just surprised how many ways they found to do panty shots. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, get used to it.
I was
Holy
like, I didn't
fuck.
know that angle was possible. And I mean, I've watched a lot of anime for a lot of years, but some of those angles, I was like, oh, I guess you can do a panty shot that way.
Panty shot
Like-
innovation.
Yeah. So I'll give it props for that. It's all right.
Yeah, and I have to say, like, I normally just like despise panty shots, and I do have a big problem with like a lot of them in this show. It's just like some of them seem like extremely over the top and unnecessary, and others seem like they could be part of the normal narrative, which is like these two very horny teens like just being horny. But yeah, there are ones where they just like zoom in. Or I'm just like, okay, there's like no need for this. Except that like I know it's on the kid's mind. Like he is a horny teenager. So it's like kind of giving you that lens, but at the same time it's just like a little too much. But I do like how it like horny and sweaty and sticky this anime is, though. Just like it gives you that feeling. And like also they talk about smell a lot. Like in episode 2 when we find out that his suit can open up. And inside is not him. His body's nowhere to be found, but it's just like this sinewy flesh. And she decides to climb into his suit. And
What did you
yeah.
say it looked like, Kat?
Like a giant, like, inside of a vagina. It looks like the imagery of like, oh, it's so tight and wet and like it's so obviously like this is like sex.
oh, absolutely. She's like, I'm coming in. Yeah, like
Yeah. it's so like, oh, be gentle though. Like, oh man, it's
And just like
endless.
the noises he makes, like, well, I'm trying to imagine what it would be like to have somebody step inside of you. Like that would feel just so fucking weird, first of all. But like, then it is like also like very sexual overtones. It's like she slides inside of him and like closes up the zipper and then can partially control the suit or even stop him from doing things by controlling his body.
She gets full control.
Yeah, basically. He has less control over it than she does. They definitely make very clear. At the end of the first episode, like another monster girl had attacked them. And it turns out like she was this like failing track runner who found out about these coins that make you become special at this like special weird vending machine. That's run by this guy who I think we find out later is like an alien. But yeah.
He's an alien.
Basically, like fucking it's really interesting. Like people are given this form based on like what they want for themselves. So it's weird because Shuichi was given this form based on something he doesn't remember. He doesn't know why he would wanted to be this way. And it seems like it's wrapped up with Claire's sister, Elena, who is this, like, really strong monster. And yeah, but it seems like Claire and Shuichi, as much as Claire's, like, really antagonistic at first, are starting to build, like, sort of a relationship together. Especially once they start, like, joining together in the suit and becoming one, as she says. Like, yeah, but, like, she does things that he doesn't like, where she starts beating the shit out of that girl who attacked him. And he's almost like curled up in the fetal position, and he reminded me a lot of like Shinji Ikari in Evangelion, or like Rei Ayanami when they're like sort of curled up in fetal position. And they're just like, stop, make it stop happening, but he can't stop it. And Claire's just like, no, I'm gonna kill that girl because she tried to kill us. And
This is animated very well, which is interesting because this is coming from Pine Jam, who hasn't done anything like to this level.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It was nice to see from like a studio that's not like Mappa or like A1 Pictures or something, like a smaller studio producing something that looks this nice. The only thing I would say is like the OP I had an issue with is in that it just had very similar shots to other anime OPs. Like the one that stands out the most is the one that's almost identical to the shot from Mirai Nikki or The Future Diary, where Claire is standing at the edge of a roof, just like how the main girl in Mirai Nikki was standing there, and it's like, come on.
Like in the exact same spot.
With the red sky and clouds. It's like, come on, dudes. There's also a very similar shot when Claire is putting on her shirt against like a bright window. Like, it looks just like the Fate Zero second season OP. So it's just like, oh, okay, maybe they're paying homage. I don't know, but it's like a little too close for comfort.
Yeah, I mean, it is a similar kind of show. So maybe they're just kind of going for the feel, get people hyped. It's definitely worked. People are really into this show.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it's quite popular, and at first I was like, oh, it's just because of the panty shots, but then I was like, no, actually, like, I think there's like just like an interesting atmosphere that this show has. It's like this creepy, like, body horror, but like really at the same time, like, sexual story between these two teenagers, which I find interesting to watch, for so far at least. I don't know.
It's such a unique idea that it becomes a thing on its own, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They have this whole pact that if one of them dies, they both have to die. And that's like one of the ways that she proves her like loyalty to him, because like she's like he asks her, what if I want to die right now? Because he's sort of on the edge of like not wanting to like live anymore, and she was already sort of suicidal because we found her in a burning warehouse that she lit on fire, and so she's like, all right, I'll just jump off a balcony like right now if you want to die so much, and he saves her before she can do that. But just shows you kind of like where she's at mentally.
Yeah, it's it's the trash show of the season, but it's actually it's good enough that it's like almost elevated above trash level.
Yeah, I think it's above trash in certain ways.
No, it'll always be trash. It's just like it's good enough that normal people are like watching it too.
That's fair, I guess.
Yeah.
The manga is like just going so far now that it makes absolutely no sense.
I wonder if we'll even get to that point, though. Probably not.
No, it's pretty. There's a lot of chapters.
Okay, yeah. All right, the next show, speaking of trash, Shachibato President, It's Time for Battle on Funimation. This is a game adaptation from Studio C2C. Director Hironori Ikeshita was an assistant director on Hitori Bochi, which I think C2C also made. But yeah, this show just had like nothing interesting about it at all. Like, it's one of those shows where you watch it and like all the information like flows in one ear and just leaves the other ear, and you're just like, wait, what did I just watch? Like, it's just based on a strategy RPG where like a president is recruiting adventurers to fight in dungeons and recover loot. It's honestly like similar type of thing with like Princess Connect in a lot of ways, except like Princess Connect finds ways to be fun and interesting and is beautifully animated. And this has just like the blandest character designs, and I just found like nothing interesting about this at all. I don't know, but if you guys even watched it, I wouldn't even want you to bother, honestly.
This was like the only show this season I didn't watch, and I was just like, well, this looks weird.
Yeah, it's just blech. It's just nothing. So let's move on. Fruits Basket second season. Still going on. It's finally happening. It's on Crunchyroll. Studio TMS Entertainment, still doing it, based on the manga, obviously, and same director, Yoshihide Ibata, is working on it. So we watched and covered halfway through season 1 of the new Fruits Basket, and then dropped it because I don't remember exactly why. I think we were getting like a little bit bored with the repetitiveness, and we wanted to cover something else.
Super bored, and there was more interesting stuff to cover.
And then so we were like, okay, we might come back to this someday, potentially, if it gets better again. And so I still haven't finished season 1, but I did watch the first episode of this, season 2, and thought it was pretty interesting. They introduced some new characters. There's this absolutely fucking crazy girl named Motoko Minagawa, who is like obsessed with Yuki, to the point that she like hates all other girls who try to get near him, which obviously includes Toru. That was a bit over the top, but then Yuki is now the student council president, or he's going to be soon. And so he's getting to meet his new like cabinet, like his VP and the treasurer. The VP kind of seems like a nice guy, but like he gets under Yuki's skin a little bit. And the treasurer is this girl named Machi, who was like absolutely trashing the student council room right when Yuki walked in. in some kind of frustration, and like when he tries to like comfort her and see if she's okay, she kind of like really recoils from him, which seemed to me like she might have some issues with like physical abuse. Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was an interesting introduction back into the show, and it still has those like warm fuzzy feelings with Toru and stuff. Kat, do you have any thoughts on this?
It's still very interesting, and I'm excited about it, and I would like to cover it. Okay. But I don't know if it'll happen or not. Oh, Leo. Leo's like, fuck you.
Yeah, it's interesting. I would definitely finish up season 1 because I've been meaning to do it anyway. If we decide to cover this, it's still a good show. Like obviously, I'm curious where it went near the end of the first season and where it's going to go this season. I like that they're introducing a lot of new characters because I think it needed some fresh, like fresh characters where we were. So yeah,
it did. Yeah.
Anything else about that?
I don't know what else to say about it because it's really just more of the same.
Yeah, I agree.
It's good. It has good production. It's going through some newer material now, as opposed to the first, because this is a remake.
Yeah, it's getting into the new stuff finally.
Yeah, which is exciting. I'm excited. I'll watch it either way, but
I watched the dub, which was quite good for episode 1. Though, like, man, they really nailed how annoying that girl Motoko is in the dub as well. Like, holy shit, she's so annoying. But yeah. Okay, the next show, Shironeko Project Zero Chronicle, which, if you just that title alone.
What the fuck? Yeah, exactly.
It's on Funimation. It's based on a game also. It's from the dreaded studio Project Number 9, the worst studio in all of anime. The director Masato Jimbo also wrote the script for this and directed Restaurant to Another World and Room Camp, Senryu Shoujo, like a bunch of actually decent shows. So not a bad director. But yeah, this show, I couldn't write about it without being sarcastic. So like my notes are just like, this show is so edgy. It even has a scream metal soundtrack to show you how edgy it is.
Dude, when you told me to watch that scene, it made me think of the club in Ezoken. Remember there was like a German metal club
German
or something
metal people,
like that? Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a scene in the episode 2 where they're just like screaming. I think there's some in episode 1. Really? The OST is just like... It's so good.
It's funny.
All I remember is, okay, so this is one of the first shows I ever watched for the new season.
Oh, yeah.
And I wrote notes, and the first thing I wrote is, it's so overly dramatic and showy. I wonder if this was a video game first.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I wrote, lol, some random guy shows up and gives you a castle after loudly announcing he's dying. Which is basically the plot of the show, is it not?
Yeah, like basically the main guy, like his village is attacked in like the first couple minutes, and this kid that he's trying to protect gets eaten by like a giant centipede monster. And then like the main character starts having deep philosophical thoughts when he's talking to that old man, like, sometimes bright light shines into the depths of the darkest holes. And I'm just like, I'm sitting here like laughing.
Darkest holes. Oh man.
But yeah, like this old man, like I guess he failed at becoming the king of darkness. The king of darkness rules over the people of black. And he wants this kid to become the prince of darkness and the successor to the king of darkness. And the kid is kind of just like, okay, sounds great, and like heads off to do that. And then they introduce this queen who is the leader of the people of white, who live above the clouds. I guess the darkness kingdom lives below the clouds. And she's having second thoughts about, like, she's supposed to defeat the kingdom of darkness, but she's also worried about the balance between black and white, which is something that they've like historically had, but like the current king of darkness is a real asshole. So maybe this kid will become the new king and change things for the better. I don't know. It's a pretty like generic like dark fantasy plot, and it's a little edgy. It doesn't look particularly great. Yeah, I don't know. It just didn't stand out that much, but it did make me laugh a couple times at how overdramatic it was, for sure.
Yeah. It's weird.
Yeah. All right, moving on. We've got Princess Connect Redive on Crunchyroll. Based on a game, studio Cygames Pictures. This is a Cygames game, and they're making their own anime now, and they look fucking fantastic. The director, Takaomi Kanasaki, directed Konosuba.
That's fucking awesome. Glad to hear he's back. Well, if we know anything about Cygames, and they have proven it, if you just throw money at it, it'll get good. Rage of Bahamut, anybody?
Yeah, exactly, right? Just throw a bunch of money and like animation talent at it and good character designs, and you'll have something that's at least enjoyable to watch, which is how I think of like Princess Connect for sure. Like the thing I liked about this a lot is like you can very much see the Konosuba director's influence on this. Like it's so Konosuba-esque. Like when this kid basically gets, I don't know if he gets isekai'd, but he wakes up after falling out of the sky in this fantasy world after some girl in the clouds like talk to him.
Like a goddess or something like that.
Yeah.
She says, "You won't remember me until I'm like healed or whatever," or something like that.
Aletha is her name or something like that. I can't remember.
Very mysterious right now.
But yeah, he falls out of the clouds and like she says like, "I'm going to have somebody look after you," and that girl is named Kokoro. And so she goes to find this guy to like look after him. He is her lord apparently. And like her whole job is to like serve him the best way she can for whatever reason. We don't really know why.
But what's weird is because of his memory loss, he's like almost a literal blank slate. He doesn't even have like a reaction.
Piece of shit. He may as well be like an invalid with like a brain dead, like just completely brain dead. Like he does almost nothing.
It took him an entire episode to be able to say a full fucking sentence. Okay.
So I'm getting to the point where I want to say like I love that about him.
Why? Why do you want him to be so stupid? I'm just like...
So first I want to say, like, when she finds him, at first, he's being eaten by, like, these two derpy-ass wolves with derpy eyes.
Super derpy dogs. They're the funniest thing ever, dude.
And, like, so...
And they keep showing up randomly and, like, dragging off, and she has to chase after him. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, and the way that they give you that faraway shot of them, like, dragging him off and her, like, running after them, that is so Konosuba. Like, that's where you can see, like, the visual, like, fingerprint of the Konosuba director, like, coming in 100%. So anybody who's familiar with that series is going to be like, oh, this is just like Konosuba. We just saw this before. But yeah, I like how, like, she drags him into town and they go to, like, get some food to eat, I think, and they have to, like, pay for it. And, like, they're going to get crepes to eat. And, like, she's like, oh, here's a coin to pay for it, like, Lord. And he starts biting the coin because he's like, oh, do I eat this? Because he has no fucking memories of anything. She's like, no, money, we have to use it to pay for things. It's important.
Money is important.
That's all he says. He's just like, money, important, learned. I couldn't handle how dumb he was. It was so good. And it's so the opposite of like Kazuma from Konosuba, who is pretty smart guy, and he's like so talkative. He's always the center of everything. This guy is just like happy to like be quiet and sit off to the side and kind of just let the girls bicker about whatever is going on. Like they meet that other girl, Pecorine, who I guess you could say is the Aqua of the show. I don't know, but
she's as dumb as a box of rocks too.
Yeah. Like she's fun and they animate her super well. She's extremely cute.
And very bouncy.
Very bouncy. She gets a sword stolen from her.
Somebody should probably give her a sports bra.
She could use that probably if she's going to be in more action. Yeah. Yeah, she's funny and she's dumb. And then they introduce like a cat girl in like the second episode, Carol, who clearly is going to join their group. And I don't know, like, you see, like, a whole sequence at the end of the first episode where it just shows, like, brief shots of, like, all of the waifus in the game and how they're going to clearly come across all of them. And it's just, like, normally I would hate that, but, like, it's just, like, oh, but if they're as fun as Kokoro and Pecorine, I would probably be enjoying this a lot, actually.
Yeah.
It's so meaningless to me. I don't understand why you like it so much.
Oh, it's so funny.
It's just cute and funny.
And then the second episode, you get to meet the tsundere,
the cat girl.
Cat girl. Carol.
I was so bored the entire time I watched both of these episodes. I don't know.
Well, all three of us were to watch this together. Bcom and I would be laughing. You'd just be probably giving us a weird look like, I don't get it.
The only entertaining part was the dragon part where they have to go get the sword from the dragon. That was interesting.
Yeah, that was pretty fun fight.
I was like, meh.
But like his way of getting it is he fucking lets himself get eaten like immediately, and then the other two take care of it.
It's true.
It's great. He's so dumb.
But those mushrooms at the end of the second episode, cracking up because they look like little cute things, but it turns out they're little spiteful assholes.
And then Pecorine eats it. Eats poor little Puchiko, the mushroom. I think the reason I find it so funny is because so often in these types of anime, the guy is held up to be like this like second coming of Jesus Christ. He's the coolest guy that ever lived, and all these girls are gonna want to have sex with him. But in this one, he's just like a total idiot. He's
and
useless.
Really, there is no love interest at all from any of the girls.
Yeah, at least not yet. Nothing.
Not yet.
Yeah.
But
I mean, Kokoro is his servant and everything, but yeah, I don't know.
His servants.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's fun. It's definitely very dumb, but it's been enjoyable to watch, and it's really nicely drawn and animated. I love the character designs. So yeah, it's nice to look at. 100%.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of fantastic fucking character designs, BNA, or Brand New Animal, which is a Netflix show, so we can't watch it. Just kidding. We can still watch it. Fuck Netflix.
That's never stopped us before.
Yeah. Put on our pirate hats for this one.
Get the VPNs going and find some subtitles. And yeah, it's an original show from Studio Trigger and director Yo Yoshinari, who did Little Witch Academia, the TV show at Trigger. So it's that.
That's awesome.
It's that part of Trigger, which we really liked Little Witch Academia. Yeah, this is really interesting. So it starts out, this main character of this is a girl named Michiru Kagemori, who is a raccoon who might actually be a tanuki, but she wants to be known as a raccoon, who is living in a world where beastmen are persecuted by humans.
Don't you find it ironic that she's a tanuki that can't transform back?
Yeah, that's actually pretty funny. I didn't think about that. That's a good joke if you know like about Japanese tanuki. That makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so she's heard rumors of this city called Anima City, which is apparently like a place where beastmen can go and live in peace. And she barely gets there at the beginning with the help of this mink named Itami, or Mary, as they call her later, who also takes a bunch of cash off of Michiru for helping her. And also, like, as she was on the way to this place, like, she saw this, like, video on her phone that was by this, like, Sylvasta pharmaceutical company talking about this place. So you get the sense already that, because, like, nobody trusts a pharmaceutical company. So you get the sense that, like, something might be wrong with this Anima City, or whoever is backing it, if it's backed by, like, some weird pharmaceutical company. So, yeah. But she gets there, and they're in the middle of this festival, which has been like, it's been 10 years since they've had like this semi-autonomy. Like the prime minister has allowed them to exist basically for 10 years. So they're celebrating that. And like the mayor is named Barbara Rose. And she's celebrating like, and giving a speech basically to denote this like 10th year anniversary of the Beastmen Ward Autonomy Act. But Michiru runs into this wolf man at the festival named Shiro, and she finds it like really weird that he's like crying at the side of the festival. He says like, we've been waiting for this for a millennium, for beastmen to like be happy like this and not be like persecuted wherever they go. But then like Michiru runs off because she gets pickpocketed by this like monkey. And she sees this, like, creepy wolf dude doing something shady, and right afterwards there's a big explosion that rocks the festival. And so Shiro, that wolf guy, he uses his power of smell to sense this guy and chase after him. It's really cool how he can, like, almost sense into the past things that have happened.
It's like a superpower.
Basically,
really.
Yeah. And there's this like really cool fight when he tracks the dude down where like this fucking badass lion and like deer like jump out of the back of a truck with like a fucking shotgun and a machine gun and start like firing at him. I just love the way those guys are drawn like Rambo or something. It's ridiculous. And Shiro starts like whooping their asses though. Like he's a really good fighter. He, like rips like the antlers off of that deer, like like pokes them into the fucking lion to like take him down. The only thing that stops him is like from pummeling them is like Michiro like is yelling at him to stop and like not hurt them too much because they are beastmen. And she thought this was a place where beastmen could live in peace. And he's like, no, they work for the humans. Like we can't do this. They're enemies. But she stops him by using some like weird electrical attack, like with her fluffy tail that like puffs up and turns all blue. She's able to stop him and tells him like not all humans are like that because she was once a human too. And Shiro's like, with that face? And that's how the first episode ends. It's like it was such a really solid first episode to set up like the whole scene, like the whole world of this place. Like obviously there's a lot of discrimination and persecution going on, but it's not as simple as it may seem. And Michiro's gonna have to like figure out a way to survive in this world. And like the second episode continues on with that kind of stuff. Like she gets introduced to this doctor who says like, no, you're 100% a beast man. I can tell with this like test I have. And she's like, no, up until a year ago, I was human, 100% human. Even my student ID said so, which was in her stolen wallet. And so she eventually tracks that down by being sent in the direction of these like sort of Yakuza related women, who run this
Rabbit City, wasn't it?
Rabbit Town, yeah.
Rabbit Town, okay.
Run by Grandma Gran. And they basically they realize that Michiru has like some skills in like reading and writing because she's a student. And so they're like, hey, there's this room full of kids over here and you need to teach them to read and write and then we'll find your wallet for you and give it back. And she's like, okay. And so she teaches these kids like some cool things about how to like say their name and write their name. They're very happy. But it turns out that was all because like these beast women have barely been able to survive because they have made a deal with the Yakuza to just like basically like give them money for protection. The Yakuza is led by this big dude named Flip. And the reason they were asking Michiro to train the kids in reading and writing is because like kids who can read and write fetch a bigger price on the black market.
Yeah. And it's just like, oh. Like,
and it's like, oh no.
It makes you
that
really
went dark
sad.
quick.
Yeah.
And so Michiro is pissed, and she's able to like sort of save the kids and herself by like using her crazy powers. She does something where her like arms stretch out like Stretch Armstrong, and it helps her like escape from this crane with the kids. And like also the kids told her about this myth of a silver wolf like Ginro who is the god of the Beastmen who will come and save them. It's like a story they've been told, and she'd already met like the White Wolf, Shiro Okami, which literally means like White Wolf. So she's wondering if they're the same person. He comes to save her at the end, and like she basically yells at like grandma for trying to sell the kids, and she's like, well, you try to live in this Beastmen world for a little while and see if you don't have a heart as well. And yeah, Michiru shows her ID card at the end of that episode to Shiro, proving that she was actually once human. So yeah, it's an interesting like whole story background going on. What did you guys think?
So this is trigger here. So they'll just start throwing shit out of left field out of nowhere on you. I mean, look what happened to Darling and the Franks.
Yeah, that's true.
So like it just really just raises questions to me. Like, okay, so is this going to focus on how she got this form? And then how crazy are they going to get with it? I mean, government conspiracy, aliens, humans are the aliens, and this is actually the Beastman's world. Yeah. Aliens.
Space.
I don't know. We'll see.
Will we wind up in space by episode 11?
Are we going to end up in space? Yeah, that's another one.
It's interesting, and I don't know. I was entertained throughout it. It seems like it's really good. When I first saw the sneak peeks for this, when I saw premiere, I was actually like pessimistic about it as an anime. Yeah. I was like, this doesn't look that good. I'm not as excited about this. Now that I've seen a few episodes, I'm actually surprised. I thought it was going to be a little more juvenile than it is. It's got some deeper themes. I'm kind of excited for it, I think.
I just hope it doesn't go off the rails, because this is Trigger we're talking about. Like they almost always have like really solid starts, but then as we get deeper and deeper into like the lore or that world, it's just like, what the fuck is going on now?
Mm-hmm.
They do have a tendency to be like, woo, fun, let's ignore the plot.
Yeah.
Let's hope they don't do
Tanukis
that.
can breathe in space.
Yeah.
Tanukis live on Mars. Oh God. I really love the main character. I just think she's so likable. I think the scene that really sold me was when she was teaching the kids and how good she was with them. I was like, this is a really good person. Like, no matter what else happens to her, like, she's a really good person. I'm going to enjoy watching her story basically play out. Another thing I love in anime is weird branding changes, and this has so many good ones. Like, Burger King is now Burger Kitty. Subway is Dogway. Budweiser is Bad Walrus. And yeah, the KFC Colonel is like this lion man. All those little things that I noticed in the background are great.
Yeah, I noticed all those too. There was a McDonald's one too, wasn't there?
I think there might have been, but I don't remember what it was.
I can't remember now either. I think that was the first one I noticed.
Also, the ED, the ending, fucking slaps. It's so good. The OP is really good too, but the ED is really good. You can tell like Trigger's getting good people to work on their stuff. Like, they know the aesthetic matters, the music matters.
Well, of course. Yeah, it's Trigger. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm excited about this. I was like you, Kat. I was like a little pessimistic about this, like going into it, but I think they sold me by episode 2 on it.
Yeah, no. For episode 1, even I was like, I don't know. I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. Episode 2 did a lot to like convince me, I think.
Yeah.
I got on board pretty quick, but I was also thinking this is Trigger.
Yeah.
So
exactly. All right, moving on. Just a little tiny show nobody cares about. Kaguya-sama, Love is War, Season 2 on Funimation. This source is a manga, of course, from A1 Pictures, and same director, Mamoru Hatakeyama, as Season 1 and as Rakugo Shinju, as like often stands out with how well directed these episodes are.
As you guys remember, I didn't care for Season 1.
I didn't care for parts of it, but I liked it a lot more towards the end. Like, it took me a while.
It's because you got attached to Chica.
I got really attached to Chica, but then I also really liked the fireworks stuff at the end, like the romantic stuff, when they were finally starting to make a little bit of progress between Kaguya and Miyuki.
Just to throw it right out the window? Yeah.
I mean, yeah. And I also really liked the development of the side characters like Ai Hayasaka, Yu, and like all of Chika's like sisters and Miyuki's sister, who we see more of in the first 2 episodes here. So I'm glad to see more of them. Like, I think they know like how popular Ai Hayasaka is,
so
because they kick it
that
off
was
with
the
her.
thing.
Yeah,
the way the first episode was, I was like, oh shit, the studio knows now that they have a hit on their hands. So they're really going to pour some effort into it. And I was like, okay, I think I might enjoy Season 2.
Mm-hmm.
But then I felt like episode 2 reverted straight back to what it was.
I mean,
and
parts of it.
I got bummed.
Yeah, I felt like it was a lot of the same kind of gags. I did enjoy the Game of Life thing, but that was really the only gag that they've done so far that I really enjoyed. I didn't like the part where it was his birthday and they went to all of that bullshit about his birthday. That was asinine to me, and I was like, we've already been through this whole season where they do this kind of shit. I don't need this. The Game of Life was funny, though.
Game of Life was great, yeah.
See, I was like that in Season 1. I was just like, all these acts they keep doing, I'm like, they're just the same things. They're just changing small details. But I will agree, the Game of Life was interesting.
You remember when they did that in Gamers, the anime, Leo? The Game of Life part in that anime, which is really funny. Like, because there's like, remember like in Gamers when there was like a fucking romantic quindrank, I don't know what shape it would be, sextangle, I don't know. There's so many people involved, and like,
I do not remember it, but if I were to watch it again, I'd be like, oh yeah, I remember everything now.
So they did a similar thing here, but I think this was even funnier because like it It's so funny to watch Kaguya, like, who is super lucky, like, get everything she wants, right? She's becoming a CEO in the game of life. She's super rich. But at the same time, Chika marries the guy she loves, Miyuki, in the game, and starts pumping out baby after baby after baby. And, like, Kaguya is just, like, imagining herself as, like, an elderly version, like, in a bathtub filled with, like, yen bills and, like, just having to continuously give money to, like, Miyuki and Chika to, like, congratulate them on their, like, 40th baby. Like, it's just that was killing me. I loved that. I also really liked all, like, the cool, like, references in the beginning of the episode. Like, there's a Mission Impossible reference when Ai Hayasaka is doing her thing. I also thought, like, her climbing through the lasers and, like, the cat suit reminded me a lot of, like, Catherine Zeta-Jones in the movie Entrapment. I don't know if that was a direct reference because it's been done in other movies since, but it's the same kind of thing. And, like, there's a thing when they're talking about, like, trains, when they're talking about how far they've gone. And I liked how Yu's train was, like, the Thomas the Tank Engine train with his face on it. I don't know, it's just cool stuff. Like, all these, like, visual gags, like, just really worked for me in these first 2 episodes. Like, this is so well directed that even if I don't love, like, Kaga and Miyuki as much as I love Chika and, like, the side characters, like, the visuals just carried it, like, the humor so well for me that I couldn't even care too much. I also really liked the moments in between Kaguya and Miyuki's little sister Kei in episode 2, where she's realizing that, like, being on a date with Kei is basically like being on a date with Miyuki because they're almost exactly the same person. That was really adorable. And, like, her imagining, like, when Kei talks about how, like, lazy her brother is at home, Kaguya imagining him looking like Himoto Umaru-chan was another fun reference.
That was interesting.
Yeah, so many things like that. Yeah, I think, like, the wedding cake, like, birthday thing went on a little too long in episode 2, though I did like the inner court debate scene with Kaguya and, like, her inner child version being the judge to, like, the ice princess prosecutor and the love drunk attorney kind of, like, battling.
See, this is where I'm hitting my head against my desk, just like, please end the episode.
Well, at least you know that she has that inner part of her who is like, I want to be with Miyuki, you idiot. Like, so, like, that's in there, obviously, and it's confirmed now that is very much a part of her personality, but
this has been confirmed since, like, episode 1.
It's true, but it's, like, even more direct now, I guess. I don't know. Like, yeah, like, if you're in this to see them, like, get together, oof, it's not gonna happen.
Oof.
But
Oof.
I'm just enjoying so much being, like, just the direction of this is so good. Like, for me, like, this anime as an anime is, like, steps above, like, everything else this season, just in terms of quality of what's being presented, even if, like, the story is, like, something we've sort of already hashed out in season 1 a bit. But yeah, like, I think the characters that they've added to it are likable, and I'm gonna enjoy seeing how they interact, and just, like, the crazy shit that they come up with as far as, like, visual references and things to make these situations even more heightened, basically. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, it's interesting for sure. I'm still going to enjoy it and watch it every week. I just don't know if we need to cover it because it's just so repetitive. But
maybe,
we'll see.
I don't know. It's just so good that I would hate not to cover it, in my opinion, basically. But yeah, I don't know. And it's also extremely popular. But, like, that's a factor. But more popular than Tower of God, I'll say.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's more popular than Tower of God. Not in the anime community.
I think it is.
I think the watch numbers are pretty obvious that, like, Tower of God is getting more watches.
I don't know about that. I think Tower of God is really popular, but I think Kaguya is definitely more popular.
So, according to Top 10 Anime of Week 4, Kaguya-sama is number 1. My Next Life as a Villainess is number 2, and Tower of God is 3.
I think that the Reddit, like, upvotes and comments are similar, where it's, like, Kaguya 1 and Tower of God, like, 2 or 3, but yeah. Wait, what was number 2 on that list, Leo?
My Next Life as a Villainess.
Yeah, that's surprising that show's really popular as well, which is cool, because it's good.
I think that one had a lot of hype before going into it.
It did, yeah.
Because I remember it just kept coming up in, like, random conversations, or I'd see it posted somewhere.
Yeah. Either way, they're both extremely popular, so I don't know. They're definitely top 3 shows of the season, so. Anywho. You know it's not a top 3 show of the season? It's Woodpecker's Detective's Office.
But I love it. I love it so much. Okay.
The source is a novel. It's from Studio Leiden Films, and the director Shinpei Izaki directed Hanebado and Gunslinger Stratos. I don't know. You tell me about it, Kat, then, because I saw this as just like sort of another Sherlock Holmes style anime. In what we've gotten like so many of those in the recent years, like, and even in just the past year, like Holmes of Kyoto and like a bunch of other similar things, that I thought this was one was like it had a pretty decent visual presentation, and I thought the characters were all right, but it didn't really stand out too much for me from those other shows.
It actually did remind me a lot of Holmes of Kyoto in some ways. I don't know. It's basically this writer and like his friend who helps him out with money, and they're like trying to make it. And there's always like a whodunit, you know. So in the first episode, there's like a little mini whodunit, and then the second one it involves the friend.
Yeah.
And you kind of are left on a cliffhanger. I found it. I don't know. I just felt like it was well done.
I think it is well done.
Know.
Yeah.
I kept poking holes and stuff like that happened. Like the one guy, he plants like misleading evidence. I'm like, you just can't fucking do that. And then also there's the scene where he's like, oh no, I just burned a paper and threw it in a trash can. I'm like, you know that paper smell will still be in that fucking enclosed room minutes later. Like, it's going to be extremely noticeable as soon as you guys walk in.
That was a good point, because he did burn it, like,
true.
right before, apparently. Like, he snuck away.
Just before it.
Yeah.
Like, you would probably still smell that in an enclosed room at least a half an hour later.
I don't know. I just felt like I was never bored watching it. I was always interested in what was going on. The characters seemed like they weren't just boring and one-dimensional. They were two-dimensional. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm just like, I like it because I like these kind of shows. I don't know. But I felt it was interesting. I enjoyed it as a whole.
I was entertained by it, and I do think it's a pretty decent show, but I also feel like covering this would be a real pain in the ass, because there's just like so many details going on all the time.
True.
Yeah, but we've covered, or we've started to cover like mystery shows previously, I think. I don't know. It's fine. We always figure it out. It's just, if it's going to be interesting enough for us to want to continue to cover is the question.
If we can do It Invaded, we can do about anything.
True.
So yeah, I don't know. Anything else on Woodpecker? That was the last show.
No, that's it that I wanted to say. I just like it a lot. I enjoyed it, but you guys did not.
Not as much, at least, I guess. Yeah.
You know, that happens.
All right. Well, if that is the last anime, which was there was like something like 18, 19 that we covered. I don't know. That's about all. Yeah. That's about all that's still airing this season.
Well, no, we covered the other ones that would have aired.
Well, yeah, that's
it's
true.
It's just that we can't watch them because they're not playing.
But in that case, it is time for the vote. This spring season, Kat, you and I are going to watch 8 shows together still. Imagine that. 8 shows still exist. 5 of those shows...
We got worried that we might have to drop it to 6 at one point.
I was like, are there going to be enough good anime here?
I think we waited for a while just to see if anything else was going to be...
Yeah, we kind of needed to get a sense of what was going to be this season before we did this podcast. Now is a good time to do it. So 5 of those shows are ones we're going to come to consensus on right now that we all want to watch by vote. Then we each get one show that is our lock, which means that even if our co-hosts didn't want to watch it, they are now forced to watch it, though only the person who picked it will review the episodes in that case. So we will cover the shows one episode at a time on a weekly basis, staying as close to airing time as possible. We may end up making mid-season cuts if we find that we just like lose interest in a show, and we'll replace it with another show if that's the case. Or if we just feel like we made a mistake covering it, which it's been known to happen. Also, if our listeners like get back to us and they're like, "Hey, you're not covering this, and we really want to hear about it," we definitely take that in consideration too. So you can always contact us on Twitter or in YouTube comments or on our Discord, which there's a link to join in the description. And we'll take your feedback into consideration, of course. But with that all said, it's time to move on to our individual picks of the season. So, Kat, why don't you give us yours in reverse order?
Okay. So, in reverse order?
Yeah,
Do you want me to start
we
with-
usually do our top 10 from 10 to 1.
Okay.
10 down. Yeah.
All right, so 10, I put 8th Son.
That was surprising to me that you had it that high.
I know. I was just like, I liked it. 9, Tower of God. 8, Arte. 7, My Life as a Villainess. 6, Woodpecker. 5, BNA.
Hype.
4,
Oh, it's just hype about BNA being high.
4, Gleipnir, or whatever the fuck it's called.
I've already forgotten what it was, too.
Sweat sex,
Yeah.
the anime? Yeah, okay.
Yes, exactly. 3, Fruits Basket. 2, Yesterday wo Utate.
Boo.
1, Wave Listen to Me.
Yay.
Wow, that was your number 1.
Hype.
It's pretty good.
Good show. All right, Leo, you're up next.
All right. Number 10 is Wave Listen to Me.
Oh, wow, you really
I
like
liked
that.
it. It was okay. Yeah, 10. Number 9, Gleipnir. Number 8, Woodpecker Detective. Basically, I had Gleipnir so much lower on my list is because I've read the manga and I already know what kind of crazy stuff it gets into. I would tell you something, but it'd be a spoiler for the next episode, and I think you're both going to be like, shit. So yeah, 8 was Woodpecker Detective. 7, The Eighth Son. Are you kidding me? Number 6 was Listeners. Number 5 was Kakushigoto.
Cool.
Number 4, BNA. Number 3, My Next Life as a Villainess. Number 2, Princess Connect Redive. And my number 1 was Tower of God.
Tower of God at number 1. Wow. Okay.
Just following the masses, man.
Oh, man. All right. From 10 to 1, I had Fruits Basket Season 2, 9, Arte, 8, Princess Connect Redive, 7.
Should have put that higher.
It's just, I don't know. It's fun, but I don't know what we'll talk about besides like, oh, it was really cute again. So, but I still have it in my top 8, so it's not like I don't want to cover it. But number 7, Kakushigoto. 6, Sing Yesterday for me.
What's wrong with both of you?
Kakushigoto's good. Sing Yesterday for me is
6.
Sing Yesterday for me. I don't know. I kind of want to see where it goes. I don't know. And it's nicely animated. I like the art style a lot.
It's a decent anime, and for all of your shit talking, you know you liked it.
I'd never even watched Sing.
No, I'm talking about Bcom, because like throughout our review of it, he was like, but it had this and this wrong with it. And,
I think I'm most interested in what's going on with the older girl, like because like her story is so interesting, and her like struggle with getting back to where she wants to be is interesting to watch. I'm not as interested in the main guy and the Crow Girl, but yeah, I want to make fun of her though.
Oh man,
I'll have fun doing that. So 5, My Next Life as a Villainess. 4, Gleipnir. 3, BNA. 2, Wave, Listen to Me. I also really liked it. And number 1, obviously, Kaguya-sama, Love is War. It's just so good.
Didn't sound like that was your favorite.
It really, like, it is though. Like, I could have gone on for a long time, but like I didn't want to like bore anybody. It's so well directed. Like, and I love good direction in anime. I mean, BNA is well directed too. In some ways, I think Wave Listen to Me is, and so is Gleipnir, but like Kaguya is like ridiculously well directed. So, all right, Leo, do you want to reveal our top 5 consensus picks from 5 to 1?
I guess. Unfortunately, our number 5 pick is Sing for me yesterday. Whatever. God damn it. Number 4 is Gleipnir.
Yes.
All of us ranked that.
Gleipnir.
Yes. Number 3, My Next Life as a Villainess. So that's cool.
That's cool.
We all seem to be really enjoying that one, actually, it feels like.
Yeah.
Number 2, Wave, Listen to Me. And at number 1, BNA.
It actually surprises me that our number 1 consensus pick is BNA.
Yeah, it's interesting. Just like across the board, we all had
3,
it pretty
4,
well ranked.
and 5 is what we ranked it.
Yeah, it's not the top for any of us, but it's like near the top for all of
Yeah,
us.
my first 2 didn't even fucking get in here. God damn it.
Well, you'll have a chance. So yeah.
What? Whoever wants to choose between your top two? God damn it!
It sucks sometimes. So this time around, the locks proceed in the order of me, and then Leo, and then Kat. So I will have to. Good luck, Kat. But yeah, I'm happy to be the one to pick my number one show, Kaguya-sama, to lock. I'm happy to talk about it. So I'll be locking Kaguya.
Oh boy. I have been thinking long and hard the entire time we're recording the two that I'm going to pick. And I'm going to go with the one I think we'll have the most fun talking about, and that's Princess Connect.
No! Why?
And also, I knew Kat would yell.
Why, Leo? I don't want to watch this show.
I really like it. It's really good.
Such trash. Ugh. Okay.
I want to meet the other waifus, okay?
Now there's even more shows on this that I feel like we should be covering that we can't.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that it's amazing that in a season that has been this reduced in size, there's still like a couple shows like I kind of wish we could cover there, and like at least one or two of them are going to get left off. So
exactly, like I really liked Fruits Basket. I want us to cover that. I want us to cover Tower of God, just because I think it is so popular. I want us to cover Woodpecker, and I want us to cover Art. And maybe, I don't know, that's a lot.
Wow, dabbing on Kakushigoto. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
Was that in everybody's? I know it was in mine, Bcom's. Oh, yeah, it was in yours, but you had it at number 11. Kakushigoto, that one.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and cover Fruits Basket.
Okay.
God damn it.
Just because, Leo, you did the nuclear option. If you had picked Tower of God, I might have picked differently. But
no, you wouldn't have.
Oh, I don't know. I might have picked Woodpecker instead, or Art instead.
I know at least Bcom and I will have a fun time covering it.
Yeah, and I don't know if I would have had fun with Tower of God. Like, I've watched a couple episodes ahead, and I'm just...
Well, by the way it would have just been me, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I obviously would have watched it, and I would have had things to talk about. I just don't know if I actually enjoy that show that much.
But I would have been the only one with a positive attitude.
Yeah, basically.
That's the thing.
I'm really happy to cover Fruits Basket, though, because I just think that's, like... It's such a fucking nice... wholesome show. I like covering those
nice.
Sometimes. So is Kakushigoto, but yeah.
It's a classic. Fruits Basket is such a classic. I mean,
yeah.
You know.
I don't think it's interesting. I don't know if Fruits Basket would have gotten a chance if we still had like ReZero and Oregairu this season. Like, there's no way we would have covered it. So I think the only reason we got to cover it this season is because
I can almost guarantee you Millionaire Detective or the Apar Man show.
Yeah,
I agree with Leo.
Knocked them out.
Yeah, Redive probably wouldn't be getting covered. I mean, Kaguya would still get covered because, like, I think we have to cover it. But actually, I don't know, because I would have probably picked Oregairu over Kaguya if it was like a lock I had to lock. I don't know. It's a good question. How this could have played out differently.
No.
But yeah.
Who knows? But hey, I mean, it ended up being all right. We all got most of what we wanted and some of what we didn't.
Yeah.
That's just life, you know.
All
right.
So
thanks for listening.
I just want to say our top 8 one more time so everybody knows. So with BNA, Wave Listen to Me, My Next Life as a Villainess, Gleipnir, Sing Yesterday for Me, Kaguya-sama Love is War, Princess Connect Redive, and Fruits Basket Season 2. That's what we follow.
Yes.
Cool.
So, I'm excited. Seems like a decent season. All right. And we'll see you soon because I think we're going to pop these out.
So. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe to us on YouTube to get updates on new podcasts or videos. You can also find our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and Stitcher. And follow us on Twitter at Nerdom and Other for updates as well. Come hang out on our Discord with the link in the description. And with that, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Yep. Peace.
Later.